showing Nina, my daughter, the original video of Roald Dahl in the Riding Hut, and he was saying, "Oh, so I sit here, I sharpen all my pencils," and he sits down, he puts the blanket on his feet, and then he puts his little pad, and then he concentrates, chain smokes, and writes for 4 to 5 hours every day, right? And
Yep.
I'm just thinking, and I was like, "Oh, great, good on him." And then I'm like, imagine doing that, actually doing that. Like, this man doesn't get up to pee. Like, he's sitting there all cozy with his little blanket
Yeah.
and his cigarettes. He does not need anything. Like, I can't imagine him getting up for any reason. Like, it's time for Gavin Doodle.
Oh, hello, everybody. Welcome to Gavin Doodle. My name's Mark Hoffman. Today we have on. Look, I can show it. Felicita Sala. This is one of their new books. As a reminder, I'm going to go through and I'm going to talk about it here in a second. But as a reminder, I post everything to YouTube and then on Instagram. So whichever one you're watching on, it's both Studio Hoffman. You can ask us questions in the comments. Probably wait until we're up and running. So I'm going to put a thing that says "Ask Us Anything" in here. And then I will get our special guest in just a second. Let me do this. There we go. And get my live feed up and going. So, today, Felicita Sala, who's, I believe, over in Italy right now. And so it's late there, which means that we're going to try to be efficient with our time as much as possible, which is hard for me all the times. But beautiful books. Basically, every single book that they have made is gorgeous. And no words can really describe all the beauty in every one of these books. And so we have some here. If you run out of words, which is relatively recent, the new one is on its way here to us. We have Joan Proctor, Dragon Doctor. We have Be a Tree. We have My Dog and I. We have Dark on Light. These books are just stunning across the board. And I can't wait to talk to Felicita to sort of learn more about them, as well as their process and just chat. And so for the audience that is watching, let's get this started. I want to put these books off to the side. This is the sketch I'm going to be working from today. It's a little caterpillar selling little baby caterpillars out of acorns. I don't know what it means, but it just felt like fun, like something I wanted to do. So I'm going to switch this camera back to me, and I will let our guest in. So ready? We're going to do this just real quick. There we are. Hello, everybody. Again, if you have questions, put them in the comments. I'll try to get to them as quickly as possible. I'm going to try to stay on task as best I can. I think there's a limited time for Felicita just because of the time frame. So let me get out of that. I'm going to let our guest in. And just give me 1 second. I got to type it in. There we go. In the meantime, I'm going to prep my shirt so I don't get paint on my shirt. So I've sent an invite to Felicita. Let's make sure this works. And if they're watching, they are also allowed to request the invite. Let me see if I try this. There's always technical fun issues. So I'm sending the invite. In the meantime, while we wait for Felicita to join us, we are going to have on, unable to join. Okay, this happens. For some reason, I have to do it twice, and the second time it works. I don't know why. Instagram needs to solve that problem at some point. So I have sent the invite again. Let's see if it works this time. Sip some water. Oh, we got it. Hello.
Here I am. How are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So remind me real quick, you're in Italy, right?
Yeah, I'm in Rome.
Okay. And it's like 9 o'clock there at night right now. Oh, the audio is cutting out a little bit there.
Hang on. I was just trying to put the volume up because I can't hear you very well. Hang on.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Nope.
so technologically unsavvy.
It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for joining us. I can't say how much of a big fan we are in this household. The amount of books that you've done, and every single one of them is stunning.
Thank you so
And
much.
it's obvious when I posted the ad and the amount of comments that came up. It's like, I love her work. She's an inspiration. I love her work. I love her work, all down the line. So I know that we have quite a few folks tuning in to hear from you tonight. And I know that your time is limited because it is late at night there. Um, so
I am an old lady. I've got to get my beauty sleep.
me too. I got to get beauty sleep eventually as well.
No,
It hasn't been working.
3 p.m. for you. You got to do your post lunch nap.
Yeah,
European.
yeah. Any extra sleep and beauty sleep I can get, I need.
That's it.
So first of all, again, thank you for joining us. We're, like I said, we're huge fans, but I must say that I have been sort of following your career for since the beginning, just as a huge fan. But then on top of that, it's always an honor when we reach out to people and we say, "Hey, are you able to top on Gab and Doodle with us?" And they say yes. And my wife, who helps arrange some of it too, like when your name was there and it said yes, you would join us, we were both ecstatic and so joyous, because it's just, again, it's like, it's sort of, you are, it's going to sound really like I'm not trying to make your head big, but I'm going to for a second.
Good soon.
It's one of those things where, like, when I started out my career, would I think I'd ever be talking to some of the people I'm talking to, yourself included? I would have no, I'll never meet this person. I'll never chat with them. And here we are about to chat and doodle. And so, like, it's a big honor.
That's very flattering, Mark. But I know the feeling because I've had similar encounters with people that I looked up to 10 years ago when I started. And then we find ourselves talking in a,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't imagine this happening 10 years. Like, I could never imagine this happening 10 years ago. And, it is a very small world, though, this illustration world. You think it's huge, but it's also small. So you end up meeting people in weird situations, and it's really nice.
And to in these conversations with people, which I found really helpful, is just that you realize people are just people. You know what I mean? Like, you have the same struggles that we all have, et cetera. So for those that are watching who have no idea who you are, which shame on them. Can you give like a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do?
I'm just a regular old gal sitting in a living room in Rome making books. So my name's Felicita with a ch sound.
Oh, okay.
But people call me Felicity, Felicita, because it's easier for the English people. That's fine. People call in Australia. All my friends call me Fee, and that's okay too. It's a bit hard to pronounce. So Felicita, and I was born in Rome, but I grew up in Australia, hence the accent. And then I moved back to Rome in my mid-20s and discovered illustration after moving to Rome. So in Australia, I studied philosophy at university. I did a Bachelor of Arts. And then I was always painting on the side. And I just liked art, but I never had the illusion of becoming an artist or living off the art. I thought that was just an insane kind of, I didn't even dare to dream it. And then I discovered illustration, and I discovered that there was that art could be applied as a job, but also in a field that I suppose fascinated me, but I didn't know that it fascinated me because it fascinated my child self that I had kind of forgotten. So I rediscovered the child self. I rediscovered storytelling through picture books as an adult, and I thought, this is what I want to do in my life. And then I started kind of, like peeking my head inside the door of the illustration world. Like, oh, can I come in too? Can I be part of this? And then I was like, no, you can't. Who are you? You can't draw. You can't do anything. And so I was like, oh shit, this is too hard. Can I swear a little?
Yeah,
tiny?
totally fine.
because I will probably do it accidentally. And I said, oh, I don't know if I can do this. And after a couple of years of, well, trying, but not even trying that hard because I'm not that competitive and I tend to give up quite quickly. I thought, oh, I'll just do it on the side as I've always done. And if anything comes up, good. Otherwise, I just keep teaching English and paying the rent and doing missions on the side. But then that on the side, I kind of gave fruits at some point. I don't know, some people noticed something and that something led to one thing and then to another, and then, you know, and then you start
Exponentially
working.
grows.
Yeah.
And
So
all of a sudden you have no time for anything else.
and now yeah. And I'm doing, and now the great thing is now that I'm actually writing my own books, which is actually something I never thought I'd be doing. I mean, as I was discovering illustration and like teaching myself illustration, a lot of my learning was coming from reading picture books. More than, you know, looking at people's styles, but also reading picture books as a whole form, like text and image. And I just fell in love with them. I thought, there's no way I will ever be able to write like this, like the good, you know, the classics, the really good picture books. I'm not going to ever have any good ideas because everything's been done, and, you know, these things that you tell yourself. I thought maybe when I would be like in my 70s, like I would just have this like, complete letting go of all my anxieties, and now I can write stories. But it happened actually. My first two books that I wrote were kind of picture books / recipe books. They were kind of, I can do this. I mean, it's not a proper picture book, but it's still a picture book, but it's not a proper story, so maybe I can do that, right? And then they went pretty well. And then during COVID, my daughter asked me this question about what if you run out of words, Mum? Because I was on the phone for too long. And I was on the phone to my agent, Kirsten Hall from Catbird, and she was like, oh, that's great. You have to write a story about this. I was like, no, I don't do stories. I'm not a writer. I leave the writing to the writers. Because I had also this idea that you had to leave the writing to the writer. There it is.
So people know the reference.
You know, there was a lot of kind of pressure on illustrators to like make their own books. You got to make your own books, and like a lot of illustrators are like maybe, you know, they're struggling with the writing, but they just, you know, at all costs you have to make a book. But then these books were coming out which were like great picture wise, but the stories were lacking. I was like, I don't want to be that person that just puts a picture book out at all costs with like bad story, bad writing. Everyone's like, oh, she's shit. No, but also because my standards of writing were just really high. Like it's like Gianni Rodari, you know, Tommy Ungerer, like a lot of great picture books that I admire, and I didn't think I'd be able to. But then, my agent kind of pushed me with this question, and because it came from my daughter, I thought, okay, maybe I can do something with this question. It took 2 years to form the story, which is what ended up being that. And it was kind of like, I don't know, the whole process was like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this. And my agent was like, why don't you send me something every week? Like it can be a sentence, it can be a drawing. And so we started this process that pushed me to work on it. So basically, that it was really a matter of not just having the idea, because an idea was there, but the dedication to follow it through, to like push through, sit with it. Where does it take you? Ask yourself questions, do sketches. So every week I would sit with it and write something, write or illustrate something. And then kind of the story came about. If you push it and you work at it, something will come out of it. You know, it's...
Well, I like that idea too, of just the segmented, like just a sentence a week kind of thing. Like no big pressure.
Right. No, that's it.
Yeah. So today we're gonna that's great to hear. I know from a lot of folks that are trying to get into the industry, myself, not necessarily trying to get in, but trying to like learn how to write better. That idea of not making it precious is such a huge thing to hold on to, and I think that is a challenge for a lot of folks, of like they put all this work into their baby and then it doesn't work, and then all of a sudden they're like segmenting it, making it something where it's more piecemeal, of maybe a little piece doesn't work but the entirety is still exactly good. So today we're going to chat, and my wife is upstairs and she's so lovely for doing this, but she takes notes the whole time of sort of what we talk about. But one of the things that she would like to know, and I would like to know, is, do you know what you're going to be working with today, material-wise?
I'm just going to be using what I have. So, and I'll show you as we go along,
Okay.
which is all the time. So
Yeah.
so it's watercolors, colored pencils, bit of gouache, bit of oil pastels, bit of, can I use a hairdryer, or is it going to be too noisy?
You can use it. Just let us know when you're about to use it. I totally understand. I have my handy dandy hair dryer sitting right here.
Yeah, otherwise it's going to take forever, right?
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you're working wet and like with watercolor of some sort.
Exactly.
And then are there brands in particular though that you gravitate towards? Like
Brands I have. So I use mainly this box of Schminke watercolor.
okay, Schminke. I'm not even sure how to say that 100%, but I know the one. Uh-oh, we're losing audio here. I can't hear you right now. Let's say something again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened there, but
yeah. So Schminke watercolors.
yep.
And then I've got, what do I got? Just an assortment of like gouache, like mainly Winsor and Newton, but also just whatever I find daily around. And this like the Holbein
Acrylic gouache. Yeah.
acrylic gouache sometimes, but not much. And then I have some like Sennelier kind of oil pastels.
Ooh.
But then I also have like the cheapo kind of like students ones as well.
Yeah.
I have
But in a nice little wooden box too. That's yeah.
Classy. These little things we find at the markets and stuff. It was my husband that collects these things, and then I steal them off him. So this one's my favorite box. It's a little. It was like a nougat kind of box, like from the 50s or something, and I just got like a lot of pencils.
Yeah, a collection of random. That's sort of my desk is the same thing. It's like random containers that just sort of fit for their purpose. And then what are we going to draw today? I know some people like to just doodle. I tend to just make a piece. It's really up in the air. You can do whatever you want, but do you have a sense of where you're going?
No, I have no idea. I was thinking about it, and I don't know if I should just doodle some characters. I think that's what I like to do, and what comes out, and then see what comes out of that. Like I might start with that, and then maybe on the side do something else.
Yeah, whatever's easy and relaxing.
Yeah, if I try to do something and there's too much pressure, then it doesn't come out. Whereas I think if I just experiment randomly, like it's more fun for people to watch, for me as well.
Good.
Yeah, unless you want to like set a theme, Mark, like a theme, and then we can just go with that.
I want you to be enjoying what you're making, and if I set a theme, I'm going to set something too weird. I mean, my idea of what I want to do today doesn't make any sense, and so I don't want to put that pressure on. So this is my sketch right now.
Yeah.
It's a caterpillar delivering or selling a baby caterpillar. He's in there, and an acorn to a kid. I don't know what it means. I don't know why, but the shape sounded fun to deal with. So
that's awesome.
That's it. So why don't we?
I think maybe I'll put a caterpillar in mine just to be in tune with yours.
There you go. So why don't we switch to our downshoots, or to whatever it may be. And I have a feed here that's got about a 15-second delay on, so I can watch on both. And we've already gotten a ton of questions, and so I'm going to try to get to as many of those as we can.
Okay, but do I need to? Does the camera need to be like
vertical?
Vertical, the whole.
Yeah. Okay. So if you just hit that little circle arrow, should switch, and there you go. You got your desk.
I got my desk. I'm just
So under the assumption right now, it looks like it needs to be turned. Wait, where are your hands coming in? That's the question.
What do you mean turned like that way?
Yeah.
Okay.
If feasible.
Yeah.
Okay. It's always a question. I don't know because some people like to put their work at an angle when they work, and I don't know which one's what makes sense. But as long as people can see your work surface.
I've got like the worst mechanical arm thing. Like it's going to take me a bit.
That's fine. That is fine. you can also pinch the screen and get a tighter shot if you need of any sort, or a wider shot by just pinching out. But so
Okay.
while you set that up, I have a question for you that someone put into. My wife asked people on Instagram if they had questions for you, and one of the questions I thought was a really fun, interesting question, which, if you don't mind me asking while you're setting up,
Yeah.
that's okay. It's a question that I don't think I've ever really asked anybody, which is, when did you first know or start considering yourself an illustrator? Not just an artist, but like, when did you give yourself that title
I
to?
think it's when I actually like made a book.
So it was
Like,
after, like, even though you already had the contract and all that kind of stuff?
yeah, like when I got a contract to, like, I think the first tiny little book I made was for a very, very small Italian publisher who made kind of language books, like translated. There's language learning books that have some illustrations in them.
Yeah.
They got me to do a book for them, and I was like so ecstatic that anyone called me to do anything, that I was like just over the moon. You know, that first
Yeah.
thing you do. And then I think I did a really poor job out of it because I was still learning about watercolor, and I think I used acrylics for it, which was what I was using for paintings on canvas, and it just did not work on paper for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is not working. Hang on, maybe I need to go a bit higher.
Yeah, no worries. There's no, like I said, no pressure, no, the conversation. People tune in for the conversation probably a bit
All right,
more than.
awesome. Sorry, people. Sorry about the
No.
wobble.
This is shows that you're what I want to say, like,
Because I
not.
usually do like a horizontal thing, and I can't really see what's going on here. Okay.
There you go. That looks really.
Is
That,
that good?
yeah, that's looking good on my end. Yes,
Okay,
lovely,
great.
lovely.
Too
Uh,
close?
no,
Look, I think it's like you're further away.
well, you can on the screen you can sort of pinch. So I'm pinching my screen and I can zoom in or zoom out. And so if you just do that with your fingers on your screen, it should give you a little bit more of a zoom out. But anywhere where we can see your work surface, I think we're probably fine.
Okay, I'm just trying to go up a little bit.
So
Okay.
I'm gonna try to get back to some of these questions off the top. But that idea of like the threshold in which you consider yourself an illustrator, I thought was an interesting sort of like um, challenge for people who are trying to start out. Of, does it require some sort of moment in your life, like getting a contract or making a book, or is it something wherein you just have to say it and believe it, and then it becomes true? So let me get to some of these. So the first question I see here is, what advice would you give to improve drawing and or painting skills? And so the fact that you started out, are you there? I just want to make
Yes,
sure
I
audio.
am.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
listening.
Since the audio cut out before, I just wanted to make sure.
Okay. No,
Um,
no, I'm here.
are like, you are self-taught, correct?
Yeah.
So was there like classes? Were there things that you did in order to get yourself ready and prepare yourself for the rigors of being an illustrator? Were there things that you had to like cognitively address early on to make sure that you were ready to sort of tackle the jobs that you wanted to tackle?
I think I wanted to do courses, but I just wasn't like I couldn't do any courses because I had to work and pay the rent, and courses meant like taking a whole bunch of time and a whole bunch of money and going to like Milan and spending time there and renting out a new place, and there wasn't any kind of like short weekend courses, I think, at the time. Like now
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that you can do, and I actually did my first illustration course. It was, sorry, not illustration course. I did a workshop with a Spanish illustrator called Jesus Cisneros, who is like one of my favorite artists. This was 2 years ago in the north of Italy. They have a really cool illustration school, summer school, and I participated with everyone else, and it was amazing. And it was just like using really different techniques than what I'm used to. But apart from that, I've never really done anything apart from doing art in high school, which is completely different. Sorry, Mark, I need to get some water. I forgot.
Oh, go for it. Go for it. I'm looking for a glue stick. Here we go. So again, folks that are watching, I'm going to try to get to as many questions as I can, but there have been a ton of questions that have populated within a matter of seconds, and so I'm going to do my best.
Okay.
One of the things that I always find interesting is when people are sort of self-trained is finding the motivation, finding um, the time, which you mentioned, like the idea if you have a day job or if you have something that's going to take up time, can be challenging. But also sort of having to go into a situation where you don't know exactly what you're going to get out of it is always such a interesting sort of twist to me. That idea of like if you go to a collegiate environment, you know exactly there are rules and regulations and things they have to do in order to get accredited. But then when you get into a sort of personal learning experience like that, you don't 100% know until you're actually in it how it's going to go.
Yeah.
Was it when you took some of those courses or you took some of the things just to get yourself sort of acquainted, was it stuff that you already kind of knew, or was it like
so the kind of workshop that I did, I was already like an established illustrator. So I was just learning different techniques and different ways of thinking. So I never, yeah. So I can't really answer that question. Like I never did any actual courses, proper art illustration courses. I really wish I did. Like I would have loved to, but I think it's too late now. Maybe, I don't know.
You're in the thick of it at this point, and
I'm still in the thick of it, and I mean, I think for me now it's more important to do things that just push my boundaries a bit more than doing like foundations of art, foundations of illustration. Like I think I just kind of try to teach myself stuff in whatever ways. I think like actually working was my training ground, like making books.
Learning
so
on
making books that maybe I would have made those books better if I had like done some kind of school, like they came out the way they came out, and I learned through the process, I suppose. So I'm not very good at like talking and doing it at the same time. So I'm just trying to think of what I think. I'm just going to go straight with the paint and just start making some. I'm just going to start making some like marks on the page, because if I think, I will stop talking. Well, and then you will talk to me and I won't respond. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be really awkward.
I will tell you that everybody on here, it's rare that we have someone that comes on and just like immediately can get into the swing of it. I've been doing it for so long that it's a no-brainer to just talk and work. But it takes a minute, and so probably by the time that we're wrapping up, you will be smooth sailing and it won't even be a question. So one of the things that I'm interested in is with that idea of the learning aspect and always learning. I assume that we're always in a state of sort of perpetual education of some sort. And I'm wondering, thinking, because there is such a following for you, so many people love your work, that I'm sure it would be advantageous for them to hear, are there things that you feel like you need to push yourself harder on, or to learn, or to, like where do you see the struggles in your own work? And the reason I say that is just so people don't feel like they're alone with their.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a good question.
Maybe there are none. Maybe
no, there are many, and I'm just trying to find a way of like. So, well, there are many. So there's the struggle with like finding the motivation sometimes, like when you like have to start a project, sometimes you just like, there's a different phase for each project. Like the initial phase is perhaps for me the hardest one, when you're trying to come up with what you're actually going to put on the page.
Yeah.
And I feel that I'm too static, like I'm too rigid, when I interpret a text, I tend to interpret it too literally, and then I think, oh no, this is really boring, and then so I try and do it, but I don't actually know how the final spread will come out until I'm actually experimenting freely on a sketch. Like sometimes the idea for the spread will come from experimenting on a sketchbook. That's why I always tell, when I do workshops, which is rare, I will tell students to use their sketchbooks a lot. And sketchbooks are just like loose paper like this, like I'm doing now, and just kind of play. Because in playing, you try and you figure out kind of what you like to do. And what you like to do is connected to your kind of who you are, your essence, your style. Like what you like to do often turns out to be what you're good at doing. Which doesn't mean that you don't need to train it and work hard at it, but it's just there's a link between like the enjoyment of the process and like what you're really good at. Like when you're not enjoying it because it's like you feel really stiff, it's often because you're trying to do something that doesn't really belong to you. But then there's the aspect of pushing your boundaries as well, which can be uncomfortable. But it's like uncomfortable but kind of exciting, because you're like pushing and you're like, well, I think I know, I like where this is going. So, but back to the question, what I struggle with is that finding motivation. So to just get to work and sit there and sit with something that's uncomfortable. And then I think it's getting discouraged. It's a struggle. And I think this is something that, that everybody goes through.
Yes.
Getting discouraged. Getting discouraged, and I like, the more I talk to like people who are working professionally and people who are students who are just starting out, the thing that brings us all together is discouragement. And I think that comes from spending too much time online. There's no other way to say it. It comes from that. Like there's
meaning looking at too many people who are doing other work.
Yeah, it comes from it's like you're kind of disconnected from reality. Like, look, when I started out, there was no Instagram, and I got discouraged. So it wasn't. I got discouraged bad when I was starting out, because I went to book fairs and I went to bookshops, and I saw what people would. I was looking at what people were doing. But it was the same thing. The process was looking at a huge quantity of work altogether that was coming out, was really cool, was really fresh, like was getting published, and then thinking, I can't do this. So the process is similar. It's like getting overwhelmed with information and visual kind of, output, and then thinking, like, where am I in this context? Who am I? Like, what's the point? There's just so much of it. What's the point of me even trying? So that discouragement, like is even more intense now in the kind of Instagram era. For everyone.
You get inundated with too much.
Yeah.
At that point, and I totally agree. I mean, I teach for a living.
Yeah.
Outside of doing freelance picture book stuff, and the amount of times I have to tell students to sort of not necessarily turn off social media, but don't go look at your heroes, basically. Like, go look at things that are so tangential that you're not going to try to replicate or compare yourself to them on a regular basis. And that, so like, it's okay to go look at art. It's okay to go look at what people are doing, but don't sit there and try to look at the people who you're trying to emulate of any sort, because you're never going to live up to them. They're always going to be a step ahead of you. That's what happens. And so, there's a really good question here, which I want to get to and sort of dive into, because I think, a lot of people who are watching are illustrators or people who are starting out, but there's also a lot of folks who are in the industry that are sort of tuning in as well. And this question sort of relates to that and I think it's a good sort of mentality question of I'll just ask the question, which comes from, oh man, I'm going to massacre this name. Osgelokman. Oh man, I don't even know how to say that one. Ozgelokmanhekim. Says, what are your criteria for accepting to illustrate a book? What do you look for? And so I want to sort of go even a little bit deeper than that, in the sense of you could probably get offered lots of books all the time, but you make a choice at some point to say, this is the book for you, or this isn't the book for you. And I'm wondering, is there, or the question is really sort of, is there some criteria, is there some threshold that it must live up to in order to get your, not necessarily seal of approval, but to get you vested in it?
Yes, that's a great question. I think the first thing it has to do, it has to spark my interest. Like if it doesn't spark my interest, I don't know how I will sustain working on it for like 6+ months or whatever,
Yeah.
how long it takes to work on a book. Has to spark my interest, and it has to spark the interest of not just my adult self, so my kind of critical adult
Yeah.
artist self, but my child self. So there has to be something that attracts my child self, that I think, oh, I would have loved this as a kid, or and sometimes it does one more than the other. It attracts one side more than the other, not necessarily both equally, but it has to spark some kind of interest. And then it has to, it's more for me what it does, it's what it shouldn't do. Like it shouldn't bore me. Sometimes the texts bore me,
Okay.
but I'm easily bored. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't feel like it's preaching something, like, like adults preaching down to children about how the world should be, like, because you can do things. There's a very subtle, so it sounds like I'm not criticizing any type of writing or any type of books per se. It's more like there's a fine line between, like, even if you write a poetic text about nature, there's a lot of poetic text about nature, right? And there's a fine line between it being like brilliant and original and it being exactly like 100 billion others poetic texts about nature, where, the world is beautiful, let's enjoy it, let's all hold hands, like these kind of texts. There's a lot of that, but then there's one that's like that, but then there's something about it that there's a twist in there. There's something that just touches a lot deeper than everyone else. It goes where the others don't go, and I don't know what it is about it, but the recognizing a good text comes from reading a lot of good texts that are not necessarily just picture books. This is what I tell my students as well. You guys need to like get off Instagram and read novels. And I know this sounds preachy, right? Because like I'm not like reading novels all the time. Like I'm scrolling on Instagram just like everyone else and like brain dead. Like, but what I do to counter that, like the antidote to that, is seriously looking at things of beauty. So picture books, poetry, novels, preferably not contemporary, because whatever. But I think that looking at older stuff is really just kind of works on a different part of your brain. Looking at good old movies, like just like high quality stuff. And then there's, having space for the lowbrow as well. Like I'm a big fan of mixing like high and lowbrow art, and mixing trash with like high culture. I love that. But just something that kind of is not you just sitting on Instagram feeling bad about how you're not, the big it thing on it. If we all go through it, like big famous illustrators struggle when they open Instagram, like emerging illustrators struggle. We all struggle. Like it's not about who you are and how far you've come. Even you might have won the most prestigious award in illustration and still open Instagram and feel like that sense of dread. And absolutely,
it's that idea of I think the sentiment is really solid in the sense of like we all struggle, and it's a matter of how you get through it. Is the success. And so it's, and you can have a wonderful book, but if you don't know how to deal with the ramifications of having success, you're going to fall apart too. And so fabulous sort of statement on sort of getting up. It's a getting back on the horse kind of situation of that's the more important part of how to take critique, how to, like having a rough critique of your work or having someone say they don't like your stuff. Really, people get caught up in that and fall apart, but it's a matter of like, how do you learn from that and how do you get back up and use it is really what shows your creativity. Going down, I'm sort of moving through this list here of questions and things, and hopefully I'm not missing too much, but one of the big questions I've heard from people prior to starting today in general, about they were wondering about your work, was just sort of color choice and color theory, or how do you get to the colors that strike your fancy in a book? Because some of the books are like, looking at if you run out of words, compared to some of the other books that I have on hand of yours, like it's got some really punchy colors. And like, I mean, like there's a
Yeah.
pop to it. And other ones are very like muted and soft and subtle, and that sort of dichotomy of color choice would be lovely to sort of hear some of your thought process on.
Yeah. I think so. I just want to show you something from my book. Where is it? So I think there was a change for me when I went. So I worked on these two books, right? This one, Dark and Light,
Okay.
which talked about the night, and so like it was a book about like dusk and sunset and sunrise, and it's all kind of very classical type of illustration. The colors are the colors are not very bright in this book. I mean, it's just, but I struggled immensely with this book, right?
Okay.
And because I'm not good at doing light is not my thing. Like I do very kind of flat illustrations, very kind of more folk, naive style. And so I struggled with that one because I think I was trying to do something kind of realistic style and it wasn't coming out and it didn't feel true to myself. Like I had a massive breakdown during that book. And then after that book, I did this book, which is basically an explosion of color. So it starts with like, I don't know if you can see. So it's like bright blue.
Yeah.
And then slowly builds up to include like the kind of primary colors. So this one was extremely experimental. I used a lot of like different techniques, and then it was just kind of more graphic, and I wasn't going for realistic colors. I was looking, just to show shapes and craziness on the page.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that this book kind of created like a split between there was like a before this book and an after this book. And I think after this book, I was just much more experimental with color, I think. So everything that I'm doing now just tends to have more kind of bright pops of color. But I don't know. But to answer your question, I think it's just intuition for me. Color there's no color theory. There's no, okay, there is a bit of color theory, but I'm not like aware, I'm not conscious of it. It's just somehow I have embedded it into my psyche by looking at images, I suppose, or by looking at art. So,
yeah. You're not going way to like look up a book and go, this color must go with this.
Well, I mean, you go to galleries, you look at paintings, you look at like, art history and like the paintings of your favorite painters, and you see colors that are pleasing to you that goes together. I think again, something that can be useful for people. So what I say to students is try and use colors that, so try to use black and white and then some color. Don't do all the colors at once. And then, so I think it's about finding balance. So finding like a dark spot, a light spot, and then a colorful spot. So like try and have those three things, like do experiments with those three things, having something very dark, something very like white space, negative space, and then pops of color here and there. And then the rest can be kind of desaturated. So try and have everything desaturated and then just using 2 or 3 colors instead of like 15. Unless your thing is to use 100 billion colors, kind of like mosaic style, naive, so it depends. Like, it depends what you like. But I think starting out, it's good to have maybe limit your color palette a bit just to see, especially if you're struggling with composition. It's good to just kind of tone down, because otherwise you've got too much choices, right, on your plate. You've got too much going on.
It's one of the reasons why I struggle with digital is, looking at, you held up that Schmincke palette, and I know that that doesn't come with 256 million colors.
Oh, absolutely.
It comes with a
Absolutely.
very limited pocket of colors. And so, like, even if you wanted to be crazy playful with your colors, there's a limit to how far you can go just because of what's in front of you. And
Yeah.
so when it comes to that digital side, that's where I really struggle, is just, how playful you can get and how far you can go sometimes can get a little bit overwhelming, or can dissolve down a piece to something that is chaotic, like you said, or there's no control factor.
Yeah.
Play. Um, is looking at your palette in general, do you gravitate towards, like, when you go to the art store and you have that option and you have every color that they have available in front of you? Um, Sometimes you can buy a kit and it comes with a certain set, but also, like the Holbein or the Winsor Newton gouache or all those different brands, you may not buy every single color they offer.
No,
And I'm
absolutely
wondering,
not.
yeah, are there colors that you gravitate towards where you're like, this is
Yeah.
ends up in my
I'm
palette every time?
Yeah, I'm using them now. I use this kind of powder blue, kind of like light ultramarine blue. I use a lot, and then like all the shades of brown and ochre, like everything
Mm,
that is anything that is brown and ochre and earthy. I like all of them, black, and then kind of orangey reds, things like that. Not much green. I don't I don't like just bright greens, although I use them sometimes. But I tend to use like this is kind of like what I tend to pick all the time is that these kind of colors.
yeah, I
Yeah.
had a color palette that I was known for when I was in school that just showed up in every piece, and I've been trying to like fight against it a little bit in
What
my.
is it? What was yours?
It was sort of like a soft orange, almost like a peachy color, slate blue, and burgundy, sort of showed
Mm,
everything, which are not problematic colors of any sort, but it was just I was holding on to them too tightly.
yeah.
Yeah, eventually it's, well, I need to do a piece that has some purple in it, and I didn't know how to work with those other colors, and so I've been trying to, like, limit how much those colors show up. And every once in a while, I'll do a piece in them, and I'm like, oh, this feels like a college piece to me again.
Mm,
I have to like readjust and say, like, okay, what can I add into it? But when you're playing with color, I mean, one of the challenges of working with traditional media in general is you make a choice, you put it down, and then all of a sudden you've made a choice. Uh,
mm.
I'm wondering, how often do you have to go back and sort of readjust colors, or are you the type, like I'm the type who just kind of just keeps going forward and,
Yeah, I'm the same.
hope that it works out in some capacity?
Yeah, yeah. Hope that it works out. Just cross your fingers and keep
Yeah,
going. I tend to start with like kind of lighter layers and then kind of like layer. I do different layers to when I finish a spread. So there's like and there's a lot of fixing as I go along.
yeah,
So, sometimes people using watercolors, they have that one wishy-washy layer and they're like, okay, I've colored that in. And then they're like, oh, it's very patchy. I don't like it. I thought, just go over it again
yeah.
with another, like, a slightly darker shade, and then go over it again. And then maybe add some pencil and then go over that again. And then add some like crayon and see what, like layer and layer and layer and see what happens. And it's really, the effects that you can create by layering are really interesting. And I've just kind of figured it out as I've gone along, just by experimenting and just being dissatisfied with the layers. I was like, this is not enough. I need to do more. And then when it's too much, then I kind of try and take it away by flattening it with like pencil or
Yeah. Yep.
covering it up with another piece of color. I don't know, like and then if it's too much, I'll just like give up and start over. But generally, I tend to go and go and go until I'm happy with it.
Yeah, no, that idea of like things don't have to be solved in a single pass
Yeah.
sort of situation. I'm the same way. Like there's, even with acrylic, or like I'm using acrylic wash for a majority of this, and that you can go pure flat right off the bat, but I use it more like watercolor when I paint with it. Just that idea of like the building up of textures and color and undertones and whatnot.
Yeah.
You get so much out of like not rushing through and trying to solve everything in one shot. Uh,
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me. Oh, I just lost the part I was on. Um, so this is, oh, that's a fun question. I like this one. So this is from it's Mikey, something like that. The question is, how do you talk about your art when people ask what kind of art do you do? Um, I mean, obviously we can say we're an illustrator, we're a kids book illustrator, but like if you have to boil it down into something that's a little bit deeper than that, if you have to sort of make a broader statement about your uh, interests and whatnot, is there terminology that you use?
Oh, I just say I make picture books. I make books for children. I make art for children, and most people are like, "Oh, isn't that cute?"
Yeah.
Like,
Do you
and
get the
I just let them say whether I just let
yeah
them think whether they probably think I'm doing, cute puppies and flowers and like computer, like I don't know what they think. I don't really care. Like,
it's
I
that
just
I get that question all the time whenever I say that I do picture books, which is I'm sure you've gotten this too. Like anything that I would know, or you mean
oh
like
yeah,
horror? Like yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Um, it's interesting that like people's knowledge of what a picture book is and what that entails as a job is fascinating to me. Like
yeah.
the way that people approach that. Um, is there thinking about sort of the career that you've had
Mm.
um, and will continue to have? I want to make sure I add that in. It's not a past tense here,
Oh
but
yeah, that's okay. That's okay too.
you're washed up.
I'm
There's no
washed up. Well, washed
yeah
up
yeah.
old
There's
lady.
nothing else coming down the line. But that idea of sort of goals and achievements and things that you want to accomplish going forward. I mean, you mentioned the idea of the people thinking that you've done like cute little puppies all the time and sort of the cliche children's books. Obviously, you've done some really interesting and challenging plays on concept and things of the sort. But are there things that sort of are on that horizon? You're like, oh man, this is the thing I want to accomplish, or this is the like almost like a dream project. Do you have anything that's sitting out there that you're going like, man, I don't know how to do it, but there's this idea I have?
Um, no.
No,
Uh,
meaning like
no,
meaning that
a dream
you've already
like
accomplished it, or meaning that
no, I haven't. No, I think no, I mean no in the sense that I don't have anything specific. Like I have a
okay,
feeling that I want to make better books. Like
yeah,
I want to make certain types of books that speak about certain things, and I don't know how to go about it, and I don't know if I'm the right person to write them or if I should find a collaboration with a writer that knows about these things. But I want to make books that like, so I think in this phase of my career I've been kind of looking for books that are like kind of fun and weird and kind of absurd, and I haven't done enough of those, so I want to explore a lot more of those.
yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
um, and but then I think I also there's a part of me that wants to do books that have a certain depth that are meaningful to me in some way. And I don't quite know how to explain it to you. Like I don't know how because I'm still trying to figure it out. But and I don't mean meaningful by like kind of poetic, kind of wishy-washy meaning. Like I want to do something that hits deep, but then is also for children. And then maybe also do something like an illustrated project that's more just for me, like an adult illustrated project, like
Mm,
something that's just very experimental, very where I don't have to think at all about the audience in the sense of who is reading this,
yeah,
or who is this for. I just do it because I like it. And then I don't have to think about also the publisher, like where is this getting published, for which market, because those thoughts I find are very limiting. Like when I'm making a book for the American market, I feel I tend to limit myself more. Like I tend to unconsciously, I think, oh, this is not going to, especially in the last 10 years, which is, it's been very, things have been very heated politically in America, and so
yep,
that cannot enter not enter your thoughts in some way. So if I'm working on a book for France, I won't have any of those thoughts. I know that I can just do whatever I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
But with America, I was like, oh, I might get some pushback on this. I might, oh, maybe this is like, maybe these colors are too dark. Maybe, oh, I shouldn't put that word in there because it might be problematic. Like, things like that, that don't even turn out to be true, but it's just your head's kind of already predisposed towards thinking that it might be true. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, it's
thinking about markets already. So I would like to make a book where I don't think about the market. I don't think about the audience. I don't think about it. I just do it for myself. And then, whatever happens, happens. Where I'm not posing any limits.
yeah.
And that book is that book's not going to sell. Like, I know, like, that book's going to be like a very niche kind of small thing that, my illustrator friends are going to be like, oh, this is cool, pat on the back, and that's it. But I want to do it at some point.
No, that makes sense. I mean, just that idea of like the taking the reins off, or taking the checking your brain at the door for a minute and just letting your
Yeah.
sort of solve what you want to do, I think makes a lot of sense. I think that's probably a a type of book that a lot of folks out there would love to sort of see from you. Like even the equivalent of, I mentioned that, or you mentioned, and then I mentioned the idea of like a little cute puppy book. Like, your cute puppy book is not going to be the typical cute puppy book. It's not going to be the cheap sort of niche
Yeah.
market already out there. You're going to find something new to say with it, and different. And so, like, no matter what, you're probably your voice is gonna show up in whatever it may be. But that idea of like getting rid of the preconceived notions of what you're supposed to accomplish with your book, I think is a hard thing for a lot of illustrators to actually do. And like, that's probably a long-term goal. I know it's a long-term goal for me, for
Yeah.
sure. The types of books that I'm writing now are more akin to what you're talking about there, of like, I want to just write weird nonsense, and whoever likes it. But
Yeah, right.
yeah,
I think we all have a bit of that, don't we? Like,
yeah,
we just want to play.
yeah. But you have to pay your bills at a certain
You got
point.
to pay your bills, yeah. So that's why I need to get it, like, I need to get like a bestseller out there, and then I can do the weird stuff.
Yeah. No, the folks that I love the most. I mean, I want to go to Bologna so bad
Oh,
because
you got to.
oh, I have to, and I know it's probably just down the road from you, but it's a trip for us. Uh,
Yeah, I know. It's such a hefty trip. I know, but
but
like a once in a lifetime kind of thing
oh
that
yeah,
if you're an illustrator, you got to like find a way at some point. It's like the Mecca. You got to do it. You got to do it
yeah.
once in your lifetime.
We are doing it. My wife and I have already planned that we have a trip planned for our 25th anniversary. That
Oh,
if we haven't done
lovely.
it, then that's where we're going. And so it's like going and seeing all the work that comes out of that, and so many like great European illustrators who have these fun concepts that would never fly in the States.
Yeah,
uh, or if they do, they're really small independent publishers, and they don't make the big money. uh, that's the kind of book that I would love to like live in long
yeah,
term. But again, it's hard to make that leap of faith, knowing that you have to pay your mortgage, or you have to whatever it may be at the end of the day.
yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
so looking here, I'm gonna try to get to another. Uh, so here's from Suzanne McGee. It says, do you find your publishers allow creative freedom when it comes to the final art for the book, or do they hold you to a certain style of your previous work? I mean, that idea of talking about that freedom, or that letting go sort of moment. Do you think any of that is coming from your publisher, or is that all internal?
No, it's mainly internal. My publishers have been great, especially in the last. I mean, all of them have been great throughout my whole.
Yeah,
I think at the beginning it was more like there was more kind of rigid, not rigid, but it was more like, oh, maybe you should do this, maybe like a lot more suggestions. Whereas now they leave me a lot more free. There's almost no comment on the art, to be honest. It's more like, why don't we put this on this page instead of that one? Like, more just kind of like
yeah.
art direction that makes sense, that we decide together. But it's never like, oh, I'm not sure about where you're going with this color palette. Why don't we try the one you didn't like? I've never had any of that.
Well,
So they kind of, I feel very lucky. Like, they kind of
yeah.
trust me completely.
I think
Um,
as I've gone through the industry, I get less of that like superficial, like, oh, can you move this over here 2 inches or things of that sort. But I would love to get a project back with no art notes.
Yeah. No,
Like,
there's always a few art notes, but it's very, very small things. Like it's
yeah,
totally things that I can tolerate. Whereas like maybe in the beginning it was things that were like the concept might have been like the concept of the illustration was like, oh no, we can't do that, for
yeah,
example. And I was like, oh, why? And then I would just like fight back and we'd get into this like long emails about why I think we should have done it that way. And they were like, oh no, maybe it's too much for us, for America, things like
right,
that. Which I won't
yeah.
go into like specific examples, but it has happened.
Um,
Um, but
the
yeah.
so thinking about sort of your aesthetic, your general vibe with your work. Obviously, stuff has evolved over time. Uh,
Mm.
I look at like even the equivalent of my son when he was younger. We read I'm gonna mess it up now. Bear with me, but Littlefoot, Bigfoot, Bigfoot,
Oh
Little.
yeah. Oh my God. I love that series by Ellen
Yeah,
Potter. It's so much fun. Like I just loved reading. Like I loved because I did 5 of those books, and I remember like when we did the first 2, I think, and then and she wrote another 3. I was like, oh, I can't wait to read like the next ones.
yeah,
Like it's
those.
just a really nice like kind of early reader book.
Yeah, and like aesthetically, that one, like I think when I think of your work, I often think of like color, and I think of the tones in that book because it's an early reader or it's a chapter book or whatever, depending on what market it's in, how it's labeled, but it is something that you is black and white for the most part, minus the cover.
Yeah.
You're having to limit, and so like there's some carryover of aesthetic or style that shows up, and I'm wondering like, is your style? Do you feel like it's relatively uh, locked in? Do you feel like each book feels wildly different to you? That's always that balance, I think, for illustrators. Like I look at my work and think every piece I do looks so unconnected to everything else. But I know that that's not true. I know that other people go like, "Oh no, that's yours." And
Yeah.
quick decision. But do you still have that same sort of sentiment, or
No, I think if one book is too similar to the one before, then I just get extremely bored with it. I couldn't work on it if it was like some books have felt that I've done have felt like similar to others that I've done in the past, but because I think there was just a need to make them that way, like there was no other way of making that book. But then I've always tried to find something about it that was, you know,
unique,
where
or
it's a use of a certain material or the change of a line, like the way I draw faces is different, the way I don't know, but something has to be different. Otherwise, like there needs to be some kind of rupture with the past. Otherwise, it's just extremely boring and like it just creates fatigue. So I think they're definitely all different from each other, but then there's definitely a recognizable style, and I think that's true
yeah,
for everyone working as a professional illustrator. I think you can tell who's done the book.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it needs to be you'll see your hand through it, no matter
Yeah,
what you do, but there needs to be some sort of evolution. Otherwise, every book's going to look like it's from the turn of the century and never evolve of any sort.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
that's it.
so do you have? And this is just a pure question for me, not from audience, but thinking about that because I go through this battle all the time of worrying about how to tell the publisher, "Hey, I want to try this thing," or "I want to do something different." Do you have
Mm.
a conversation of like, well, this book I'm going to do A, B, and C, or is it sort of you just hand it in and go deal with it?
um No, usually like I will do some experimental kind of sketches or color tests before I go to like along with the early sketches. I'll do like a storyboard with very rough sketches, and then I'll show them some kind of play
Yeah,
on, the theme and see what they say. And then unless they say, oh no, we don't like where you go with this at all,
yeah,
then I'll just keep going. Well, most of the time they're just like, we love it.
yeah. I
So
mean, I think I'm getting to the point now where I'm realizing that's the way to do it. It's just sort of like just do it. It's the what is it? Act first, ask for forgiveness after, or I can't remember what the phrase is. Um, that sort of take the risk and then deal with the consequences when they come up, if they come
that's it.
up, versus playing it safe. Um, you looking at sort of the work that you've done throughout the years, is there a sort of book or an instance that you look back and go like, um, it feels out of place, or maybe like I wonder how I can get back to that, like as an example, the stuff that I did when I was in college in my sketchbook was so weird and random and nonsensical that I feel like, partially because I didn't know how the industry worked and I was just playing and being an idiot. And
Mm.
now it's hard to disconnect and go, oh, let's just go make that stupid thing, because I'm always thinking in the back of my head, oh, well, is a publisher or is an art director or an editor going to look at this and go, this doesn't make any sense? And do you have those like precursors to ideas that you wish you could delve back into in some capacity?
I think to a certain extent, yes. I think, yeah. There's always like I think sometimes you forget also what you've done. Like I'll happen to like open some old notebooks or sketchbooks from like years ago. I think, oh wow, that was really cool. Like that was like a fresh idea. I don't know. And I think maybe getting older, I don't know if it'll happen that I just will like run out of ideas or run out. I think until you have like curiosity to experiment and discover, then you won't run the risk of running out of, like, I think you just have to stay curious and stay kind of playful. I think that's the trick to like keep working. But yeah, there's things that I think maybe I should go back to that kind of maybe state of mind that I was when I did that book. Like I felt more free than maybe what I am now. But mostly I tend to look forward instead of backward in
Yeah.
terms of art. Like what I do, I kind of want to be hopeful and want to like be looking to the next thing. Like what am I, like I tend to be like halfway through a project, get a little bit bored with it, and then I just want to work on the next book because it just takes so long to make a book, and you've just been working on these kind of environments and characters for like a few months and you're like, oh, I'm done, I just want to move on.
Yeah. Is there like, for me, it's always about three-quarters of the way through,
Yeah.
there's a wall. And
Yeah.
I hit it hard every single time, no matter how prepared I am for it. Is there a normal point like that for you where you go, oh,
Yeah,
this is,
it's probably the same. Yeah, it's probably about three quarters, and you're like you're almost done, but there's just a few. And you know what the worst bit is when you're actually done, and you hand all the interiors in, and then you're like you get the feedback for like changes and stuff, and like after like a month, like you've kind of put it away, you're already working on something else. Like, oh, why don't we like like redo this or like change this? And there might be really minor changes, but I just don't want to go back to it.
yep,
Like I'm ready to just completely move on to a different project.
yep. You want that sign off on it to be the final sign off.
Yeah,
And
that's it.
it's no, I've had that. I've had projects where like the entire project was done and then they decided to change something after, and I got paid more for it because
Yeah.
they had already paid off the contract and everything. But yeah, it's frustrating because for anybody that has not worked in this industry, the time where a book is handed in and the time that you get notes back might be months to half a year kind of situation.
Mm.
So slow, and so in that time frame you evolve so much or you've moved on that it's hard to look back and go, hey, let's remember that conversation we had 6 months ago, let's dive back into it right now. Doesn't always work.
Yeah, yeah, just don't want to go there. Just leave me
Yeah.
alone. But you got to.
Is there thinking about that idea of our evolution, our progress as an illustrator, etc. Is there some sense in your mind of like, this is going to be a weird question, where is there a step too far in the sense of like, we early on in this conversation someone asked about how do you pick if you get a manuscript from someone, how do you say, hey, this is the one I want to work on? But thinking about your own artwork, is there something where like you have limitations or you have boundaries that you set for yourself as you work?
Um,
And maybe it's even the equivalent of like, is there a point in a piece where you go, that's the final thing I want to work on. I don't want to ever touch this one again.
Yeah, I think, yeah, again, I think it's instinctive. Like you just kind of know where to stop, right? Like you just like I don't know. Is that what you mean? Like when knowing when it's
Yeah.
enough?
How do you know when it's done? Basically, is the question.
Ah, you just know. I think you feel like a saturation, like when the paper you've just done too many layers. You just that's it. You just got, and there's some that where that ambiguity kind of remains, and you think, oh, I could maybe keep going and make it better, but then like you just at some point you got to stop. So you
Yeah.
just you
Move
just
on.
feel it. Yeah.
Is there this all of a sudden popped in my head because we were, talking about sketchbooks and other things. Um, there was a piece that I made years and years ago, and I want to find out if you have the equivalent piece. But there's a piece that I made that was in a sketchbook. It wasn't a finished piece, but it was just a really dumb idea, and it made me laugh. I'm gonna guess at least for an hour straight kind of situation. Like I just, you get the giggles. You stop thinking about it, and then you think about it for just a split second, and you're back into giggles. Um,
What? But you made a piece that made you laugh, and you
yeah,
okay.
it
Oh,
was
that's great.
it was a piece about a French fry robbing another French fry with a ketchup packet.
I
Uh,
love it.
that's it. It was dumb and whatnot, but it was one of those pieces that I look back on and I go like, that was the moment I wanted to live in for a long time, because the piece made me so happy on
Wow.
a like uh fundamental level. It made me happy, and I wondered, do you have a piece in your repertoire at this point that you look back and you go like, man, that's the one. That's the piece that like you'll never sell, is framed in your studio or something of the sort that you go like, this is the
Oh,
pinnacle of my career, whether it is or not.
oh,
Uh,
shit, that's a hard question. Um, no, but I want to say something about your experience because it's so wonderful your experience, and it's so important to like. I mean, in your case, it was like a huge it's like an epiphany. It's like, this is it. This is what I want to. But I think anything remotely like that is indicative of where you want to go, like where one wants to go as an artist and illustrator. It's like that's where you want to go. That's where you want to spend your time, is in that state
yeah,
of laughter, of enjoyment, of like, um, well, so that feeling of laughing and being happy in the place where I was, I think I've had it a few times working on different books, but nowhere near what I felt while working on the last book that I made with it's coming out in January with Neil Porter Books, edited by Taylor Norman, and it's a book about boredom. It's called Bored. I think I put something on Instagram recently, but I'm going to post the cover next week because it's coming out soon. But
cool.
so it's a book I wrote while I was bored working on another book, and so I started writing the story for that one. It's about a little girl who gets really bored and she does all sorts of things while she's bored. And I maybe because I just like I felt like her, like it really resonated with me.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I had, I like drawing these little characters, funny little looking little characters, and I think I really played with her a lot. And she just looked so funny and ridiculous, and I just wanted to spend more and more time with her. I thought she was hilarious. So I think we're working on a second book now, uh, of this character. So I think that the feeling that you described is the feeling that I felt with this character, whose name is Rita. And you'll all meet her next year at some point.
oh, like
Yeah.
there's something very cute about that idea of like, uh, I don't know. There's something cute about that idea of like you'll meet her versus it comes out. It's
No,
John.
like so I've written three books where there's been kind of like, main characters, right? The one with the words has the father and the daughter, and then this the Lost Cause has a little where is it? I'll just show people one. And this one. This one has Pablo, who is also very relatable, little scatterbrain, who loses all his things.
Yeah,
Um, and I really enjoyed working with him. And he feels also kind of like a character that is out there, and like you'll meet him. But Rita, I don't know, it just felt like maybe because she's a human girl, little girl, it just felt really close to home. So, and she just kind of felt like she was her own thing, this wild little creature just out there in the world. And then, like, I think that's how people who read the book perceived her to be as well. They're like, oh, we love Rita, we want more Rita. So it's like, oh, well, I've just kind of, I've never had that feeling of like creating a character that then people relate to and talk about. Like,
Yeah.
it's almost like a child. It's like, it's out there in the world. It's outside of yourself. It's almost like you have nothing to do with it anymore. Like, it's no longer yours. It's just the world's. So, and that's very fun to watch how people interact with characters. And I've never had that experience because I wasn't an author. I was just an illustrator, even though I create characters. But, they felt like they were always someone else's characters.
Yeah, yeah. There's especially if it's a book that someone else wrote,
Yeah.
feels very hard to connect and say like this is mine.
Yeah, you just
Uh,
connect with it differently. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, one of the challenges I've had, and I assume this rings true to you as well, is when someone else writes it. Even though I understand I'm 50% of the equation,
Mm.
I still have this mentality of, well, it's their book, and I just happen to make an image for it.
Yeah, me too. I have a bit of that, but it depends on the book as well. With some books that I've worked on with people, that are, like a book I made called The Hideout with my friend,
Oh yeah.
and writer Susanna Matiangi. She's a great writer, very quite big here in Italy. She's won a lot of awards, and I just love her writing so much. And we'd worked together on other books before, and I really wanted to work with her. And she wrote this story, and it felt like really, like a collaboration of like common minds. Like, I think we work really well together. And so that felt like a shared project. But then in other books, like there wasn't a main character. It was more kind of like a poetic book. And I felt a bit more removed from it. I felt like, yes, I'm just the illustrator for this, but it's not my book, it's their book.
Mm-hmm. That
Yeah.
connects 100% across the board.
Yeah.
Speaks true to a lot of folks in the industry.
Yeah.
Are
And
there?
that's okay. That's okay. It doesn't always have to be that feeling of, this is my book. Sometimes it's okay that it's like, it's the author's book and we're helping them out with it. Like,
Yep.
even if we share the cost, we share the royalties, whatever, but it's still mostly their book.
I mean, I think even just the idea of and I've heard this before too, but just that idea of like the book wouldn't be the book if it wasn't for the artwork too. And so
Yeah.
like
Oh, absolutely.
if,
Yeah.
for this age market, etc., like the artwork is plenty to merit a author credit of some sort. But it's weird that
Yeah.
there's that disconnect for a lot of people. They sort of like immediately remove, and myself included, I remove myself from that equation so easily and just say, well, it's not mine. And so it's heartwarming to hear that that's also more than just me. Every time someone says
Yeah.
they've been through that. Hey, folks. Welcome back. I guess this is part 2 because Instagram crashed. Today we have on Felicita, or no, I'm going to say it correctly. Felicita, no. Felicita. I have it written down here I try to do a phonic for myself to get it right, but Sala is going to be joining us, author, illustrator of plenty of books, including this new one that's relatively recently out, If You Run Out of Words. I'm going to let them back in as a guest, and we'll keep going. I apologize for the interruption. So let me see if I can get them back in. That it works. Cross our fingers. If it does, hey, there we go. We're back.
Hi.
We're
What's
back.
going on now?
I have no idea what
Okay.
happened. My Instagram looked like it was running on my end, but it definitely wasn't. Everything was stalled out, so I had to reboot.
Okay. Also, it was just everyone. We just all
Yeah,
crashed together.
yeah. So people will tune back in. I forgot to mention at the top of the episode that if something happens, we just try to hop back on as quickly as we can.
Oh, right.
So sorry about that.
Okay.
I apologize for.
I'm just looking at your work, Mark. It's amazing.
Thank you.
I haven't been able to watch you do it, but I'll replay it later and
This
have a
is,
look. So you just like you're using collage, right? You
yeah,
just
I collage and then paint back on top and draw on top.
I love it. I love it.
Color blocking, basically. It's been a
Beautiful.
challenge. I just finished my first book using collage, and yeah, I thought it would be a whole lot easier, and it is somewhat, but it's also challenging because I don't know how tight are your sketches? Are your
What do you
sketches
mean?
like locked
Ah,
in?
no, no, they're very loose.
Yeah, that's I my sketches used to be very, very tight, and
Yeah.
now when I put together a book with collage, it gets a lot harder just trying to like figure out um, where and when I make choices, because not all of it's going to be perfect. If I'm doing collage, there's no way to make it, pristine to the sketch.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of like having to figure stuff out on the fly that has changed my process or my making. But we're getting there. We are getting there. So
Getting
um,
there.
I'm loving, like, I I got a chance to peek while I was uploading at the stuff that you've done, and I'm just like, the shapes that you choose and the scale that you choose. Like, even looking at uh, if you run out of words, there's the scale of the dad and the wobble of the legs.
Mm.
Like the where is it? There was a page in here. I think it was, oh yeah, right here. This it's very early on in the book
Oh yeah.
where there's a little kid in the background, and the dad is just like ginormous compared to what I'm assuming is like a little ottoman or a little step
Yeah,
stool
it's just like
or
wobble galore. I think
yeah,
I've been doing a lot of wobbly lines. Like I think I've been moving a lot in that direction. Whereas if you look at my early books, they were very kind of like kind of smoother straight lines, like
yep,
very kind of graphic, clear. And now I'm leaning into the wobble big time, and I'm really into giants and dwarves, like just really into just big and small, like playing with big and small.
yes.
And I think I really wanted to do it with that book, but I tend to do it a lot in my sketchbook. I draw a lot of giants and dwarves, like I think I am now.
One of the challenges that I've had throughout my years is I don't do a lot of like wide shots in books.
Yeah.
This has not been something I've been very like good at, and so every time that I do it, though, what it shows up is like if I'm just sketching out a wide shot of like a town or a village or something like that, my first inclination all the time is to put a giant in the background,
Mm,
a giant cat or a giant person or something of the
yeah.
sort. And it's, I don't know why, but there is this desire to like play with scale in
Yeah.
a way
Yeah.
like that
Same.
constantly. And
And
so,
I think it works really well with collage as well.
well, it's also hard to get small with collage.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the challenge that I find, is like there's a limit on proportion that I have to be mindful of. But just that idea of I have I have learned over the years that I gravitate towards uh, oafish characters, like
Yeah. Yeah.
dumb, sort of like not the brightest looking character in the world.
Yeah.
And so that idea of like the giant or
I
the
love
scale,
giants.
yeah, is so much fun to play with just because it adds so much character so quickly.
Yeah.
The lumbering aspect of them.
Yeah.
Um,
So good.
is there something you like to draw more than others? Like if given freedom and someone said, hey, you get to do a book on the thing that you draw the most.
I think I'm really just drawn to faces, like faces, profiles. People with double chins is a big thing. I just love.
Okay.
I have a sketchbook full of people with like big chins. I just weird looking people. I think like I love deforming like deforming the physical, so like deforming the human figure, like just taking it to extremes, like stretching it out. Like I'm
Yeah.
really into that now. So I think yeah, maybe like working on a book of bodies and faces, like just really weird looking, like imaginary people, I think is really will be really fun. Just made up characters. Yeah, I think working on people is ultimately the most fun thing. I get sort of bored with everything else. Like doing like trees and foliage is always fun, but it's so very like a woman illustrator thing, like cliche. Like we're all just kind of doing a lot of foliage, aren't we? Like us women, and it's just like I'm a bit sick. I'm a bit sick
Yeah.
of it, but it's lovely. It's lovely to do. It's lovely to look at, but it's a bit like too much.
You can say
And
that. I can't say that, but
No,
I
it's
understand. I understand.
look, there's also like in art schools, I think it's like I don't know if it's like a 90% woman to male rate,
Oh yeah.
and so
Yep.
you see a lot of foliage in those classrooms, like a
Yep.
lot of
No, it's the school that I teach at. It's generally about like 2 to 3 out of 15
yeah,
students are male presenting,
yeah,
and so it becomes a challenge of like, not to say that all the work is like, oh, it's cute, or it's like um, binary in that sense of like only
yeah,
women can draw cute stuff, but there is a distinct like art school gender disparity that shows
mm,
up. And in terms of like uh, selection of what they like,
yeah,
has varied. Like when I was in school, I feel like there was a distinct look of what people wanted, and now it's changed dramatically. And, one of the things that you mentioned, just that idea of like wanting to draw weird looking people, that makes me think of art school immediately, is just that idea of um, everybody. When I first went to art school, my whole family and just people in general would say things like, you know, oh, so you're drawing naked people all the time, and that the idea of like drawing people was, it must be all these beautiful people up in front of you that you get to look at all the time, and it's no, the best people to draw are the people that have oddity to them, that
yeah,
have character, that have something going on beyond just a pretty face.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so that idea of the wanting to draw faces that have double chins, like I like drawing people who look dumb. Like
yeah.
the dumber they look, the more it makes me giggle, etc. And a double chin is a great one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For
Double
like,
chins are great to draw. Like it's a good, you know why? Because it's really hard to like I know why they're good to draw because it's really hard to draw the jawline. Like
mm,
it's really hard to do like like a face, like a normal face, and then like this chin. It's like where where does it go? Like it's just here or there or like a Ridge Forrester kind of jaw. Like that's just so not my cup of tea. Like doing a nice jawline. Like,
it's like, where does it go? It's such a
like
funny.
where does the jaw go? Like you
Yeah,
don't really know. Like it's a struggle. So you just don't do a jaw at all. Just give them a nice double chin or like get swallowed up by the clothes. Like I love that. But
I have gotten to the point where I draw people's nostrils a lot. Like I just think nostrils are
yes,
fun,
I
and
love it.
I
Actually, I wanna like turn off the audio so I can do a little bit of like blow drying so then I
oh,
can move on to the colored pencils because I think I'm
go for it. I will entertain people for a second in the
do
background.
I need to mute it myself?
You can mute it, or you can just use the hairdryer. I don't
Okay.
care. I think
All
people
right.
can manage
Okay.
either way. Okay.
All right. That'll do.
I can't believe you did that in the middle of the. No, I'm just kidding. Uh,
Sorry, guys. But it's just because otherwise I'm going to be here all night and I need to
yeah,
go get my beauty sleep. But I need to first,
it's
do some colored pencils because otherwise, that does not feel complete. It just looks like a bunch of blobs.
it's the
Uh,
reality of art making that sometimes it's not. it's not all that glamorous when you have to get out your hair dryer to
I
try to.
know, it's so boring. Sorry.
No, it's
Um,
fine. I like it. I like it. There have been so many times on here that I've done it, especially after like later in the night, where I'm just like, yeah, I want this to be done. I'm gonna hair dryer it to get it wrapped up relatively quickly.
that's it.
Um, so shoot, what was I gonna say? Uh, all right, I'm gonna go back. My wife has some questions from before that before it cut off that I think we should probably get to just for people's sake. So the first one is there any advice that you have for getting an agent, which I know is a tough one. Like obviously you're at Catbird. How did that happen? Was that something that sort of um, was it an organic process? Was it something wherein there was lots of legwork that you had to do to make that happen?
No, that was just a very lucky break for me because I think I had done like one or two books, maybe no, maybe two or three books I'd done, like one with Walker Books, a couple of things with Kids Can Press in Canada, and very small books with Italy, just very, very small things. And then I was mainly just working with like some magazines and like blogs were posting my stuff. Like I was just kind of like just starting out.
Yeah.
And Kirsten wrote to me and she said, I've seen your work online. I really like it. Do you want to be part of my agency? And I was like, yep. And she was just starting out with Catbird, so there was I think she had the Fan Brothers already on. She had
Mm,
Isabel Arsenault, like, so I knew their work and I was such a fan. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Like I get to be on the same agency as, these people. And then some I didn't know that I then discovered. So it was just a very small, I think there was like a 10 of us, like there wasn't that many illustrators. And then she just
yeah.
gradually built it up to what it is now, which is still kind of a small agency because it's just her. Um, it's
But
just her curating it, so it's not easy to get onto like an agency where there's just one agent, and 35. There's only so many she can take on, because I imagine it's like a lot of work. I don't know. I can never do the work of an agent. I can't imagine.
the amount of pressure I
Yeah.
think on an agent to try to like always have to uh, bring in a deal or be actively engaged. Like I don't know about you, but I'm a person who I'm social in certain situations, but not in others.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and so like the going out and promoting myself, I am not good at that side of it.
No, me
Um,
neither.
I like to pretend. I like to pretend like I'm like, oh, I'm big and famous or whatever it may be, but I know the truth that I am not that of any sort. And so having an agent who can do that for you is always quite
It's
lovely.
amazing. Yeah.
So the next question uh, is I don't know who these came from because my wife collected them, but was how do you get to the core of a character design? So every character of yours is so believable, and thinking about that idea of like character design, we mentioned earlier that you know character is more than just like a cute face. It has to have some power behind it, some interesting element to it. And sometimes that can be a double chin, sometimes that can be someone who's not always happy, whatever it may be. But how do you make those decisions, or how do you sort of solve that equation in some sense?
God, that's so hard to answer that. I don't really know. I just, again, it's like with the choice of color, it's just kind of intuition and play. I think I just start. You just start drawing. Like now, I started drawing directly with color, but sometimes I'm just doing lines and characters, and you just like. I'll just show you some that I did like yesterday. So I was doing like this cafe scene that I need to do for a book, and I was just looking at like I just making up people and then looking at faces of people in cafes online, and then there's when you look for characters online, it's hard now. Like today I was looking for, like, I needed to find an old wise old man kind of figure, and it was just coming up with all these AI suggestions. I was like
Mm,
real, and I was like real old wise man, and then it was still
yeah.
coming up with AI. So then I looked at kind of archetypal words. These are like the hermit, like with the tarot cards, you have the
Yeah.
hermit. And so it was bringing me more like figures of in art of, you know, like paintings, kind of hermit figures. So that was more like, okay, that's better. But it was still like looking for things on Google has become a battle now. Like it used to be that you would look for something and it will give you kind of like lots of different kind of images. Now it's giving you like AI images, which I do not want to use.
Nope.
And so I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back to like find a library with like archival images, which I don't even know if there is one in the vicinity of my house. Like I'm gonna have to like stop using Google for. But I mean, I don't really use real photos much. I mostly just make people up. I just generally like sometimes I will look at pictures of people, or if I will save stuff on Pinterest that comes up, and you know, when I think, oh, this is a really interesting picture, the people are really interesting, I'll save that, maybe I'll use it one day in my sketchbook. But so I think I just kind of play with line a lot. I just kind of start, you know, like looking at you know, like a character, and I'll see where it goes, and if I don't like it, I'll start again and do another one, and so on and so forth. But yeah, again, it's a lot about just playing and trying and keeping going.
Yeah, not giving up along
Yeah,
the way. And it's funny you mentioned the image library, and all of a sudden, or the archive, makes me think. When I was in school, we had a thing at RISD that was the image library, and you would go in. It was before Google. That wasn't an option. And I mean, even using Google can be tricky because of copyright and all sorts of stuff. But it was a place where they would cut out magazines, laminate the images, and you could go in and say, I want a folder of tigers. And they'd give you a folder that had tons of images of tigers in it. And that was what you had to work from. And, you know, it was, in some way, it was great because you never got the shot that you actually wanted. Uh,
yeah,
you couldn't search endlessly. It was sort of
yeah. That's the thing.
used as
I hate the endless search. Like you just want
yeah.
a limited. Yeah,
And it forced you to to combine images together in your head and make something new and interesting
yeah,
in some way, just because of that limitation. um, I To this day, I basically sworn off looking at Google for reference unless I have to reference something that I've never heard of or seen before. So
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. I don't
some
like
weird
looking either. Yeah,
animal or yeah. And
yeah,
I limit how long I can look at it too. So it's never I'm going to have that image up for like a half an hour and study it. It's sort of it's there to get the general concept down and move
yeah.
away fairly quickly. Um, let's see. There was another couple questions I want to make sure I get to. Um, oh, this is a weird one. Uh,
Oh, I love the weird ones.
I want to break into the industry. Having a kid and a day job, should I be prioritizing my stories or my portfolio? I like the fact that the kid part is thrown in there because it very distinctly says, "Hey, I have limited time." Uh,
What do I focus
so
on?
yeah,
I say focus on whatever, like wherever your intuition takes you. Like I think, and it might be one day the story, one day the portfolio. Sometimes they're linked. I don't know. I can't answer that for you. Like you need to see where you could try and like give yourself a schedule where you're like, okay, this month I'm just going to work, you know, like one day a week dedicated to the story. But then
yeah,
you might find that while you're doing that, your heart is taking you to like want to play with color or something. I don't know. And then like, I think maybe it's just more than saying just focus on this or this, is focus a time for it. So say like
yeah,
one day a
good.
week or one morning or like whatever time it is, but really sit down. I always like to think of Roald Dahl in his little writing hut, you know. Have you
Hmm.
seen that BBC
Yes,
interview?
yes,
Oh, I love it. And he's just like, I just sit here, you know, like just try. I was watching this, I was rewatching this interview with my daughter the other day, because we were looking at those we were watching those little Netflix short films that Wes Anderson made based on
oh yeah,
Roald Dahl stories. How great are
yep.
they? They're just brilliant. And so I was laughing at, you know, Ralph I don't know how you pronounce his name, the actor, Ralph
Oh,
Fiennes,
fine, fines.
Fine,
I think yeah,
Fines, yes, as playing Roald Dahl in the writing hut, and I was showing Nina, my daughter, the original video of Roald Dahl in the writing hut, and he was saying, "Oh, so I sit here, I sharpen all my pencils," and he sits down, he puts the blanket on his feet, and then he puts his little pad, and then he concentrates, chain smokes, and writes for 4 to 5 hours every day, right? And
Yep.
I'm just thinking, and I was like, "Oh, great, good on him." And then I'm like, imagine doing that, actually doing that. Like, this man doesn't get up to pee. Like, he's sitting there all cozy with his little blanket
Yeah.
and his cigarettes. He does not need anything. Like, I can't imagine him getting up for any reason. Like, he's sitting there and just pushing through like whatever mental blocks he's having. He's just like, and he's like, most of the day, like most of that time, my pencil is hovering over the page. Like, I'm not actually writing anything. So the process, the creative process is going on in his head. Like, he's not actually producing, like, but he is forcing himself to sit there for 4 hours straight. He's got no Instagram to go to if he's
Yep.
got to hit a block, right? He's got no TV, he's got no radio, he just sits there. If we could do like a tenth of that in terms of effort, you know what I mean? Like, that would be outstanding. So like, my advice to you, my friend with kid, is like, aim for like a tenth of what Roald Dahl does, like once a week. Like,
Yes.
and you'll be fine. You'll be sweet. You'll like something. You will produce something
That's
eventually.
yeah, that idea of like I would even go into the sense of prioritizing. It sounds so silly, and I know that there's a lot of people out there that will say this, but I truly believe that prioritizing what comes naturally is going to
Yes,
make your life so
absolutely.
much like don't fight an uphill battle. Don't sit there and
Yes.
try to be someone else. And so you may come to writing a story in a different way. And like, this may be a question for you too when you're on the writing side, but just that idea of like everybody comes to a story in a different manner. Some people need to write the manuscript first and then draw the images or sketch the images. Some people, have to sketch first and then write. Some people have to do it at the same time.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's so,
There's no way of knowing.
yeah, it's so individual and random that I don't know is there's like, yeah, there's a perfect prescription in a situation like that. But beyond saying what feels right is probably right. Um,
Mm,
and
that's
so
it.
thinking about the writing side for you, is there a way that writing works better for you in the sense of, do you like to write first and then come back and edit? Do you like, what's the order of things?
Um, I think I tend to write first, but not like the whole complete story. I will write first. I need to have the main idea chunk of the story. So I need to know what I'm illustrating, like what I'm writing about, what I'm going to
Yeah.
illustrate, and then after I've written, I might start playing with the character, like maybe just sketching a little bit, but I
Okay.
won't. And then the rest will kind of go like together. So um I will work on the text a lot at the beginning, and then maybe sketch certain things, and then when I then move on to the storyboard, that will bring me to edit the text, because I will notice that when that I will put things in the picture that won't need to be said in the text.
Yeah.
I will take things out, for example.
Yeah. It's a back and forth process,
Yeah,
basically.
that's it.
One informs the other, and there's,
Exactly.
I mean, at a certain point, you have to stop and say, like, okay, I can only edit so much, or I can only like you draw things in and take things away and whatnot. But that idea of the process, the thing that I cannot fathom, and I don't know how it's done, and I know lots of people do it that write a wordless picture book. Um,
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't. I've never been able to do that. I have a lot of admiration for the wordless picture book people.
I think it's part of it is just I talk a lot, and so uh, using words is my first sort of solution to a problem. And so, like, I am very wordy with my writing. Let's put it that way.
Mm,
I've been told
yeah,
that by lots of people. Uh, I've been told edit, edit, edit.
edit,
Um,
edit.
yeah. Do you feel at this point like obviously you've written quite a few books. You've been sort of the forebearer of the story in those situations, but do you feel relatively confident with your writing now, or do you still feel kind of
Oh, hell no. No, no, I feel like every single time, it's like I'm now working on a new text, and I just kind of, I did the Roald Dahl thing. I just sat down with it and forced myself to sit with it and figure it out. I asked myself questions. Where does this go? What if it
Yeah.
goes there? Let's try it. And like, I'm nowhere near having a text. Like, I'm just throwing ideas, and it's like so hard. And every time I think, I don't know if I can do this. Like, I'm not a writer, like, it's not going to be great. Or like, I just had a lucky strike before and it's not going to happen again.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's like a common thing. I don't know if like everyone feels that, or maybe like writers who are like actual proper writers who just do the writing, and they are, prolific and they have lots of ideas. And I wonder if they are so, like, because I feel quite confident with illustration on the other hand, right?
Yeah.
I feel, I don't feel the hesitation with
Yep.
the writing, with the illustration that I have with the writing, because maybe because I've been drawing and painting and illustrating all my life and learning from it. And I haven't had that experience with writing. So, yeah, I don't know if I ever will feel so confident. I always feel a bit of that imposter syndrome as well.
Yeah.
But,
No, that idea of the writing, like I've been drawing for so long in my life, and obviously I've taken writing classes, but the proportion of time spent is so minimal, and it's going to take the rest of my lifetime to get caught up or to somehow like get to that same level. And so that sentiment of imposter syndrome, that sentiment of um, always questioning, I think is always going to be there, because I don't know how to answer it. I've been taught how to answer it with artwork, but not with
yeah.
words. So um, that idea of uh, fighting that battle is so out of place for, I think, a lot of us. Um, is uh, oh, someone's calling on my iPad there for some reason.
Mm.
Thinking sort of about logistics for the various books that you've worked on and the books that are going forward, etc. Um, there's so much time and challenge to getting things all set up perfectly and ready to go out there into the world. How often do you have to sit down and just make something for you at this point? Like, do you
Um,
have that kind of opportunity? Do you set aside time to do that?
no, I mean, I sometimes do. I sometimes try, and then it doesn't last very long. And I should. This last, also like the beginning of the kind of school year, like coming in from summer, like September, October tends to be like in crazy busy all the time.
Yep. Yep.
But then around maybe like just after Christmas and like January, then you start to maybe think, oh, maybe I do have more time for this. I mean, you go out a bit less, you stay home and you make a bit more time. But it's really important to make that time, I think, to just play and not do work, like not do
Yeah.
paid work, just work for yourself. I think because that's where the ideas come out.
And then you mentioned a sketchbook, but are you a sketchbook person or are you a paper person? And what I mean by,
Uh,
I don't draw in a sketchbook. I don't like the idea of the thing being contained. Um,
oh yeah, I know. I'm a bit more of a sketchbook person. I like. It depends. No, I tend to like. I have a sketchbook that's just for play. So I have a sketchbook that's for sketches for work, and then I have one that's just for play. But I don't use it that often. Like, I should spend more time on it. What I do sometimes is I will like prepare. I'll show you an example. I will sometimes just do this. Like, I would just I will just do a splosh of color,
yeah.
like just make a page of color and then put it away, and then I'll go back to it like after a month, and like it won't be I won't be working with an empty page. I'll figure out what to do with that page, and then I've done build-ups of things like that where I've just had stains of color, and then I've gone back and then like built up images that are just kind of playing with color and shapes. But
Yeah.
that it won't be done in one sitting. It'll be done like over, like whenever I feel like it, because there's no pressure. No one, no one's telling you to do anything. You
It takes
just,
away it takes away that sort of like precious quality to
yeah, yeah,
or even the knowledge of what that thing was in your head at the time.
Yeah.
I think that I have students oftentimes that I'll do that sort of process with, like composition studies and things where you remove the original source, and then weeks later you look back at it and you go, I don't remember what this is, but I like this for the
Yeah.
project I'm working on, or what
Yeah,
have you. So,
anything that forces you to play and experiment and do something that's outside of your usual way of doing things.
um, with sort of the teaching side, because where do you teach again? What's the
So I don't really teach much. I did for a few years I worked with there's a kind of art school in Italy that's now since COVID it moved online, but it used to be that
okay.
you had to go there. But it's a proper art school. They do really cool courses. It's called Arts in Fabula, and it's in Macerata, which is a small medieval town in central Italy. Really beautiful place. And I do occasional collaborations with them now, so maybe just like day workshops and things like that. And then
Yeah.
I'll do the occasional, like maybe once or twice a year, I'll do like a weekend workshop. Like I recently did one in Turin in the north of Italy, and then I did one in Spain a couple of years ago. So not very frequently. But weekend workshops are like kind of intensive. So you start on the Friday night and then you do all day Saturday, all day Sunday. So you really get time you get to spend time with the students like for a whole 2 days, and you see how they work, how they think, all their
Yeah.
doubts, and so it's rather than doing the 1 hour, 2 hours a week in a school, you do like a full on session. But yeah, so it's not offered, but it's a very interesting experience for me. I think I learn a lot also from the way they work. And
Do you find that, in that experience, the idea of like learning from them was really the question I was going for, which is,
yeah.
that idea of, you're in an environment where people are either unsure, unsteady, trying to learn, whatever it may be, and they're coming potentially from a different point of view than what your experience is bringing.
Mm.
And do you ever walk away from those and sort of reassess sort of your process, or your thought process behind making? Because on the collegiate level that I teach at, regularly I have these students who hit some hurdle that they can't get around. They finally get around it, and they do something new, and it's inspiring. Not in the sense I'm going to mimic what they do, but it makes me go, oh man, I wish I was back at that stage where everything was possible.
Oh
And
yeah, definitely that
the,
happens.
the
It's very
learning curve
inspiring.
is high, but the reward is high too.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
with now you said you have kids, right? You're
I have a daughter. Yeah, she's 11.
11. Is she an artist?
She's really she that's what she wants to do all the time. She just wants to draw all the time. And
And
she doesn't have enough time to draw because schools
yeah,
in Italy are so time consuming, especially in middle school, which she just started, and it just
oh,
kind of all her energies go there, and it's very frustrating for her. But that I think that's you could safely say that's her favorite activity
is
at this
she
point in her life.
is she into children's books, or is she in,
She would not anymore, but I think she really appreciates them. Like she'll sometimes, like pull them out again, and we'll look at them together. Or I'll read, I remember that from when I was little, and she'll enjoy reading it with me again. But she's into, well, she reads like kind of we have a lot of graphic novels that I pick up here and there, and then she reads a lot of like mangas. She's really into Japanese kind of like animes and mangas. She likes to draw a lot of that, but that's like peak age, right? You're 10, 11
yes,
years old, they're peak manga age.
yep,
But then a lot of, and then she reads other kind of novels, and she likes a bit of everything, but mainly Japan is like the big thing at the moment.
that's my son is 12 right now, gonna be
Yeah.
13
What's he
at the end of
into?
the it's the same thing. He's
Yeah,
manga.
yeah,
He's big into One Piece, things of the sort.
yeah.
And so that registers quite well. What tell me, give me a little hint as to sort of your childhood with, because when you initially said right off the beginning, I asked you to sort of tell us a little bit about yourself, and you mentioned the idea of like rediscovering picture books, which means that at some point you were a little kid at some point, I imagine.
Mm.
You didn't come out a grown up. And so, your experience, was there like books in particular growing up that were really influential to you? Were there, experiences like, was there a librarian or an artist or a writer that you look back and go like, man, that was the prime time for me learning to become an illustrator?
Um, mm, so I have very like bad memory of like I have very kind of like vague memories of growing up. But I remember, so I don't remember specific books or places or things, but just kind of vague experiences. But I do
Yeah.
remember like my earliest reading experiences, like before I could even learn to read, I had a collection of fairy tales on like tape cassettes that
Oh,
my parents would get me. And they had, the story that you would like read along and listen, and then they would, ding when you had to turn the
yep,
page,
yep,
those things. So I had two different types of those. I can't remember. There was one that was like a British, it was like a British curated one that was really famous, and then we had it in Italy as well. And then another one that was just an Italian one. They had songs, but the illustrations in these books were insane. Like they were just, that classical like photographic illustration, but then with a
yep,
really great sense of space and design. So I think that subtly influenced me in some way. I wasn't aware, when you're a kid, you don't really think about, well, at least when I was confronted with these type of illustrations, I wasn't thinking of who made these pictures. I wasn't even thinking that somebody had made the pictures. They were just there. They just existed. And they were so like high level technical, like kind of skilled that I wasn't like, no one could possibly, like, it didn't even enter my mind that someone would like, now, like, I remember with my child, since she was born, I'm showing her picture books of all shapes and sizes and stars. I'm like, imagine making this picture. Like, straight away, I'm putting into her mind that somebody made this book. There are artists who
yep.
make this book. And of course, she sees it because it's my job. But, like, I just didn't, there was no talk of that. It was just like, here's the books, and they have pictures in them. And I didn't think,
Yeah,
it was like much later that I was like, oh, yeah, there's illustrators in the world. They make these pictures, and then they make all sorts of pictures. They're not just this. They're not just Spot the dog. They're not just, there's like highly artistic picture books out there. But yeah, another one was Richard Scarry. I really, really
mm,
I think everybody grew up with
yep,
Richard Scarry.
yep.
And then when I moved to Australia when I was 7, so that was kind of the age where you kind of stop. You start you look at kind of early readers more than picture books, and I don't. We got read to a lot in Australia. We got like the teachers were really cool, like reading us picture books every day. But I don't remember much of that time, of
Yeah, you
those
don't.
early years.
Of was there, or rather not was, but is there a artist that you look at now as sort of your hero? And the reason I bring that up, one of the assignments I give some of my students, we're talking about style and we're talking about sort of how to develop your language, your visual language, is to find out who your heroes are, i.e., who your hero looked at. Um, and I'm sure there's a lot of folks out there right now going, I absolutely love your work, but I'm wondering, is there someone that they should be looking at as, who was your hero, in the sense of, go look at this person first
Yeah,
before you come to
I
me?
yeah. Well, the thing is, my heroes are completely different from from me, from what I do. So if you like my work, I will tell you to go look at this work, and you'll be like, oh, well, that's
Yeah,
just completely different. So I will show you this book because I don't know if it exists or it does. It probably exists in English, but I don't know if it's gone out of print or if you can still find it. It's called Sloddy by Tommy Ungerer, and this book is just. So I love his work because it's just he's just insane. Like, so this is like a retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. So
mm,
she runs into a dwarf that is actually he is a tall dwarf, and then he is a short giant. So talking about that scale again,
yeah,
she
yeah,
makes two friends that are just basically they're the same height, but he's just his sense of humor, and then the details that he puts into these pictures, like the awkward, like shady characters, and like, look at that. It's just so weird, and his stories are so weird and playful and free. And I think I'm just really drawn to people who are like just deeply. Look at that scene. Like, what's going on there? She's just getting resuscitated with a bottle of rum. This guy's getting his head sewn back together, and then like everything. This is just such a crazy story, and it's so much fun. And like then everyone ends up in a spa, like this woman's getting like rolled by a giant with a like, you'd love this character. Look, if this is one
Yeah.
of your like kind of weird oaf looking creatures, just bit of naked bums everywhere. Like, I love that. It's just hilarious. It's
Naked
such a
Bum, get your
weird,
on art
hilarious book.
school. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this is like, so to learn from Tommy Ungra. And then another one that I love is oh god, there's so many. I want to make like make a blog post about all my favorite books, because there are just so many.
Yeah.
Where is it?
What does your collection look like right now? Like, do you have a big picture book collection, or are
I
you?
do, but probably not as big as like some people. Like I imagine that all my illustrator like the friends that I love have like gigantic collections, much more than me. But it's just because I have such a small house and I don't have much space, so I kind of tend to limit myself. Another, oh God, I forgot what I was looking for, Mark. I'm just looking at my books. Oh, another illustrator, author that is a contemporary is Kitty Crowther. So if I have to name a contemporary illustrator writer that I love, it's
Yeah.
Kitty Crowther. She's not well known in the United States, so I want to show her work to you guys. But she also has a very weird, quirky style. But she won the Astrid Lindgren Prize, which is one of the most prestigious prizes in the illustration world. So she has an incredible ability for telling stories. It's very experimental, very free. She has an insane kind of line and character design. But it's basically, what I love about Kitty is her storytelling and her understanding of children in her stories. This story about, I mean, it's just really wild. This kind of,
Yeah.
it's
I
really wild, but it like the story is brilliant and it's funny, and she has the similar folly as Tommy Ungra, and I love her for it. I'm just such a big fan of her work, and there's just so many others. These are a couple, and then there's like William Steig or William Steig. I never know how to pronounce his name.
Yeah. Yeah. No, his stuff is
And
fabulous.
I am such a fan of his stories, and I think now at this point I tend to look more. I look at the combination of art and story. I don't just look at art. Whereas in my early years as an illustrator, I was looking a lot at just the illustrations. So I was looking at books for their illustrations because I was looking at the art and I wanted to make art. Whereas now I want to make books. I want to make complete books with stories that work and illustrations that work with and for the story. So I'm more drawn to that at the moment, more than like someone who just makes great art. It's like, okay, you make great art, you're a great illustrator, but what about the stories? Are the stories good? And sometimes, a lot of the times, illustrators are just working as illustrators for other writers, which is what I do most of the time as well. So
Yep.
I think you don't get to see the full potential until an illustrator is working either on their own text or on a text that really represents them well. You know,
Do you,
like, you don't have to make your own stories. You can work with other authors your whole life, but when you're working, like when you find a good kind of companionship, like with an author that like knows your style, that works really well with your style, then it brings out the best,
yeah,
you
someone that
know.
gets you, or not that they're always the one who like decides who they work with, but just that idea of like when you find that pairing, don't let it go.
Yeah, that's it.
Back on. Um, are there artists outside of even the illustration world that you look at and go like, oh, this is like someone that's in the gallery world, or someone that's historical reference point that
Yes,
would
there are, but now it's like too late in the night to, like, just off the top of my head, I cannot
yeah
come up with even
yeah
one. Like,
okay
oh God,
no I get
there's so
yeah.
many, and I will just come up with really banal examples. But
I like
even
Picasso.
photography,
Yeah.
And I can't even come up with one right now.
That's okay.
I'm brain dead.
That is okay. I know this is very late for you. It's got to be. I mean, it's got to be 11 o'clock there now.
Oh my God, is it? Bloody
Yeah.
hell, Mike, you've kept me for so long. It's like once I start though, you see, I can't, I have to at least finish these faces.
So let me ask you this question because it's that point in the night wherein at the beginning you were struggling with the talking and making. Does it feel
Yeah.
now like it's easier?
Yeah, because I'm just kind of like the shape is done, so I'm just kind
Yeah.
of like playing. It's like when you're on the phone doodling
Yeah, you're
at
in
this
the zone
point.
now, in the pocket or whatever that
That's it.
one of those sports terms that I also don't know what that means, but you're in the pocket.
That's
Um,
it. In the zone.
that idea of sort of knowing who your contemporaries are, knowing who your historical uh, landmarks are that you sort of have referenced is good. But I'm wondering outside of art, because I'm a big proponent of you know, it's great to be an artist and to live in the world of art. But I also think if you don't venture outside of that, there is a risk that you will stagnate. That
Yes.
you'll follow trends too much in a
Oh,
sense.
absolutely. Well,
And I'm
that's why I said before, read
yeah.
books and watch good movies.
So are there things that you lean on? Like you mentioned the idea of liking really lowbrow and highbrow, which my wife and I were just talking about with movies. We like a movie that is really good, or we like a movie that's really bad, and we don't like the
Yeah.
middle. And so, are there things that you gravitate towards media wise, whether it be a book or a movie or things of the sort, that you're like, oh, everybody needs to go see this, or uh,
Um,
or read this, or whatever it may be.
well, reading is just like I always just recommend like reading even like, even classics, like just starting from there. If you're not a reader, like just starting from like I don't know, um, read the Metamorphosis by Kafka. It's really small. To start with that, like you just read something just really weird, and then like just pick up a book and start it. If you don't, if you get a tenth of the way through and it's not doing anything for you,
Yeah,
then just read something else. Like, it's not worth pushing through on something that's not fun. But it's just I think just reading puts you in a different mind frame where you become, I don't know, like more open to things. I think and open to ideas, and it just stimulates a different part of your brain that we're not really using much anymore because
yeah.
of like the constant onlineness. Um,
Is there?
movies. I just went to the movies today to watch the latest Lanthimos movie. I really like his movies. They're so weird. I think I'm really into weird stuff, like the new one with Emma Stone and
Oh,
what's
where she shaves her head or whatever.
yeah, Begonia, Begonia.
Yeah, yeah. Was that good?
I loved it. It was
Okay.
great. It
I
was
w-
really fun.
I've seen the trailer for it, and I was interested in seeing that, and so I'm glad to hear
Yeah.
that is good because I would be afraid that it would not live up to what I want
It
it to
was
be.
great. That was fun. But then I also sometimes will watch, like while I'm working, I will put it on in the background, movies that I've seen before, like classic Italian or French, like 1950s and 60s movies, like black and white. They just have a different pacing, different dialogue, and it feels so that world from back then feels so remote from now. Like it feels like
Yeah,
a completely different universe, and it's so nice to go there from this universe, like to just sit there and comfortably watch people speak and exist in such a different mode. And then like kind of more lowbrow, there's a series that's we have here on Netflix. You might have it in America too. It's called Kath and Kim. It's like an
oh yeah,
Australian
I know the one.
19 like late 80s early 90s. It's a mother and daughter pair. It's just the ultimate kind of like trashy Australian culture, suburban kind of. It's so funny. Like I mean, and also growing up in Australia feels really kind of familiar. Like I feel like I've met those kind of people. But it's hilarious. That just kind of like, and you need to laugh. I think laughing as well just is also an antidote to that desperation that comes from also being online for too long is just like watching something really, really funny. That's not a reel. That's not a reel. That's like a movie or a series, or, you know, like we have on at my house, we have Seinfeld on rotation, like throughout the year. So we will, like, you know, every, not maybe not every day, but every couple, you know, twice a week, we'll chuck on an episode and just like, you know, we've seen the whole 9 seasons, I don't know, like 10 times, but it's just constantly,
Talk about
it's like
story,
it's
right?
like something like a balm for the soul, like that kind of humor,
Yeah.
that kind of like well made, well structured sitcom like from the 90s. It's just so soothing.
I should go back and watch those again when I'm trying to write next time, because they were so good at like bringing a story, or like three disparate stories together
Yes.
into
Oh, you
one.
know, there's, I have to say,
Calm.
I can't remember the name. There's an Instagram account called Real
Yeah,
Seinfeld. Do you,
yes.
the
I
one that, the
don't
one that
follow it
writes the
right now, but
plots?
the one, yeah, where they give a plot, like a modern day plot for a Seinfeld
Modern
episode.
Seinfeld. Oh my God,
Yeah,
it's so good. It's like this guy or girl that's writing it is a genius. It's like,
yeah,
it just, you're visualizing it as you're reading it and you're laughing as if it was an episode.
yeah. They like get the quintessential part of of Seinfeld. Like the structure is just there, and the characters are so well developed that you can. It's very easy. Like when they give the little plot point, like this is what George would do. You're like, that's
Yeah,
exactly who he is, and that
it's
makes total.
exactly what George would do.
Yeah, and so like, it's a good. I know there's people that don't particularly like that show for whatever reason. I don't understand it,
Yeah.
but that is a good like.
Maybe
It's
maybe they haven't given it a proper go. I think you need,
yeah,
like with all sitcoms, you need to have seen a few episodes and need to get to know the characters before you can like really appreciate it.
not only that, but I also think that it's one of those things where like, um, if you've only seen one, you
No.
have to know the characters enough to be able to know, like to be able to predict what they might do in any given situation, or oh, this is going to cause problems later down the line.
Yeah, because yeah, I
So,
mean, the humor comes with the familiarity in sitcoms. Like it doesn't
yep,
work if you don't know them.
yep. Are there with that idea of having a kid who is now, you said 11, is that right?
Yeah, 11.
So you've been through the picture book era. You've been through that sort of time frame. Was there a learning curve for you as an illustrator going through that same, you know, showcasing of work and uh, reading books to your daughter? Was there a different perception of what was expected, or did it make you rethink your sort of purpose as a children's book illustrator?
Oh, hang on, that question's a bit too. Can you repeat it?
Yeah. No worries. It's late at night. I know. Just that idea of like when you have a kid,
Yeah.
if you're illustrating before that, you're illustrating for this potentially non-descript child that's out there.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Okay.
removed from that age group in some way, because it's not in your life on a regular basis. And then you have a kid and you start reading picture books to your kid or reading board books or whatever it may be. And all of a sudden you are, you know, confronted with, oh, they like that, they didn't like that, etc. And I'm wondering, did having a child and going through that era of picture books sort of refocus you or make you think differently about sort of story structure, or
Oh, yeah,
make
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. There was a shift when she was born. There was a shift to like really paying attention to children. It was because it was her friends who came over, her cousin, you know, suddenly it was not just her, there was children in my life again. There always has been children in my life because I've had, you know, nieces and nephews and I've always liked being around children. There was moments where I was teaching English in like kindergartens and I always loved being around children. So I paid attention to them, but it's totally different when you have your own kids and you really pay attention to, you really want to make them happy and read them things that will make them laugh and entertain them, and you want to feed into their imagination. So yeah, you start looking for like good stories. Like suddenly not just anything will do. It has to be good, you know.
yeah,
But it's, I think especially, I think again, having a kid reconnects you with your kid's self, you know. You just kind of like remember what it was like. You're like, oh, I remember that feeling that, you know, when they get really excited about something, or when
So
they
let
get lost and wondrous into the story, and you're like, oh, I remember that feeling that I had when I was a kid, and I was like, I want to make kids
me
like
that same thing.
experience that.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
I mean, you mentioned your kid self a couple of times on the screen.
it's
On
it's a recurring theme in my
what
yeah.
what what does that mean for you in particular? Like what your kid self obviously likes certain things, likes certain content, etc. But um, that kid self is going to be different from person to person. So what was your kid self like? What was the thing that made you appreciate a book or appreciate a story? Was it funny stuff? Was it humor, like humorous stories, or was it stuff that was like really serious and scary? Where what was that? That
It was kind of like wonder filled worlds, like worlds, like kind of I've always been like drawn to like magic, fantasy, like Narnia, opening things where, like the unknown, things changing sizes, like things like where like the impossible is possible, like things like that. Not much for like realistic stories. But I think that's just what they call like the magical mind of children. I think up to a certain age they have that. They're very drawn to that, where the boundary between the real and the possible and the impossible is blurred. Like anything, Santa is real, and lots of other things are real. The tooth fairy, and so then anything can come into their imaginary world, and it's okay. So you can show things in a book that an adult will be like, well, no, this doesn't make sense. And it's like, well, yes, it does to a kid. It makes perfect sense.
yeah.
So, and I
They,
think that at like the writers that I admire the most are the ones that have kept alive in them that magical sense of the world, that they're able to reproduce it very naturally and like propose it to children as if, like Roald Dahl was very much in tune with that. Like he would propose magical worlds in like a completely matter of fact way, which is what made it really funny. But also what, like kids totally got him. They're like, okay, this guy gets us. He's on our side because he was a big kid himself,
yeah.
which, but, with adult sophistications and interests. But, he's someone that would still laugh at, fart jokes and like bums and things like that. And like, I'm very much in line with that. I love bums and farts and things like that. Like in picture books, and that's why I have a very kind of like lowbrow humor. But then I also need the other stuff because, like the novels and the good movies, like you need that because that kind of fills your soul in a way that all the kind of, again, the online crap doesn't.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting you to say like knowing your work. I think of your work as so like beautiful and things of the sort, and then for you to say I love bums and
I
farts and
love
stuff.
bums. I
It,
try and put them, but I've done some funny books that haven't come out. Like, no, they have come out in Australia. Where, so look at this one, for example. I'm just going to do some like unashamed promotion of
yeah,
this.
go for it.
These books. So these books were written by Maggie Hutchins, an Australian writer, and they actually came out with in North America with Tundra, but I don't know if she's done all three of them or just the first two. So
Oh yeah.
it was
Okay.
a series called Your Birthday Was the Best, Your
I know
School is
one.
the Best, and Your Holiday Was the Best. And so this one is, for example, so it's about a cockroach that goes to school with his little with the boy, follows him, and then basically does a dance on the teacher's head, scares everyone to death. And basically the culminating point of this book is that the kid draws a picture of them getting squashed by a boot, and then the cockroach is really enthusiastic, saying, I wanted to draw a picture of you as well, but I couldn't lift the crayons, they were too heavy, so I ate them, and then I made a rainbow poo, and then I drew you with it. And then, so, I mean, that's the kind of like slightly toilet humor that I love. And there's, there's a few series of funny books that I did with her. And I just like to put, even when I draw little children characters, um, just make them look cheeky, little bums, little faces. Like, it's just
Yeah.
funny. I want to do more of it though. I expect to see a few more like bums from me in the future.
Okay. Okay.
If
Good.
they let
No,
me, I'd love
I
that.
I am a 4-year-old at heart, and so potty humor, like
Love it.
two, I would say at least 2 to 3 of the books that I've done. The offer was put on the table. Hey, this has poop in it, or this has farts in it, or like that was in the pitch to me, and it's like, okay, I'm in.
I'm
It,
in. That's it.
yeah, yeah. I don't need much more than that. And so now the downside is I don't want to only be known for that. And there are
No,
some people who are
absolutely
like,
not.
yeah, some people will come up to me like, well, you draw butts and farts and stuff. So it's like, well, I draw other stuff too. But I get it. Okay, I'm right there with you. I get it, and I'm happy to hear that a cheeky little bum is.
I'll see. I'll leave you with a cheeky little bum here on the page as well. There we go.
Yep. Oh yes. All right.
Why not? We've got some three elegant people and then just a cheeky bum baby floating in
Yeah.
space. And I think that's my cue to go to bed, Mark,
Okay.
because I'm like
So
destroyed.
here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna flip back this way to myself, and I'm gonna try to get this up a little higher. There we go. I will say thank you so much. Like I said, when you said yes, it was a glorious day in this household for my wife and child and me and whatnot, because we have been fans. Like I said, the Littlefoot, that was like the first entrance into those early chapter readers, and like that will hold a special place in my heart, that book, or that series rather. And then all the other books that have come and gone across bookstore shelves and have landed in our bookshelf at this point is ridiculous, the amount there. And so I'm super appreciative of the
Thanks so
fact.
much, Mark. And what's your wife's name?
My wife's name is Lauren.
Hi,
So,
Lauren. Thank you so
yeah,
much, Lauren. I'm feeling the love.
she is what we like to say is my producer. She's the one. She does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff to make sure this thing operates. I,
Awesome.
I'm the pretty face,
You,
even though she's got a prettier face. I'm the pretty face on camera.
you get all the beauty sleep.
Mm-hmm. That's it. That's totally it. So thank you again. I
Thanks
can't
so much
say.
for having me, and thanks everyone for joining in and
Uh,
listening. I hope it hasn't been too boring.
no, it's been great. This has been fun. I, if it's boring, those people shouldn't have been tuning in the first place.
That's
They're
it.
they're not true fans.
Exactly.
I will be in touch. If you end up posting anything from this, if you would do me a favor and just tag me in it so I can see it, and I'm gonna go watch the feed too.
How does this work? Am I automatically like is it showing on my feed? I don't even know how it works. Is this
It's
video?
it's on my feed, and we can tag you. We can collaborate, so it will be on your feed if you want,
Yeah, I don't.
or we can tag you, whatever makes sense. We'll invite you to collaborate if you decide to. That's up to you, and then it would be on your. If not, you can just be tagged with it. And then I post this to YouTube later, and it automatically, once we're done, once we wrap for the night, it saves it to Instagram, so people watch the feed there. But I'll post it to.
Watch on YouTube as well, so I can just
Yeah.
put it that.
Yep. And I will, same as you, I will have to go back and watch because I'm trying to work, and it's hard to like look and work at the same time. So I'll have to go back and sort of see the progress as we go along. But I thank you so much for staying up as late as you did. It's almost midnight there.
I know, but I mean, this is the time I usually go to bed.
Oh, okay. Still
Straight to bed.
straight to bed, straight to beauty sleep.
That's
And I'll be in touch.
all right. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, this is crooked. All right, everybody that's here. Just to give you a sense of what's coming up next week. Well, first of all, thank you to Felicita for joining us. But next week we have on Leanne Chow, who's going to be coming in, who did this amazing book, Pigtown Party. Also did Oh Olive. The new one is Don't Feed Eustace. I'm getting it. If my wife is listening upstairs, she might know. What? What did I say? Oh, Cho. Yeah, I'm sorry. What's the one? Eustace. What's the name of the Eustace book? Don't. I think it's Don't Feed Your. Anyways, Pigtown Party will be joining us next week, and that'll be on the 11th. That's Tuesday. On the 13th, which is Thursday, so I'm doing 2 in a week. Shelly Johannes will be joining us, and so we have 2 next week. If you can tune in too, that'd be lovely. And then the last one for the month is Jason Awar, who did Every Monday Mabel, and get a chance to look at those and tune in, ask questions, etc. I'm going to go back and finish the piece that I'm working on because I got a ways to go. But if you have questions, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it so it doesn't say ask us anything. It's just going to say ask me anything in the comments. And I'm here to answer questions for those that have questions. So, boom, 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 boom. Put that in there. I'm going to hit send. I'm going to pin that comment. And now I'm going to go back down. Let me back down to the feed here so we can see. And hopefully I'll just give me a second to get the feed up and make sure that I'm sort of zoomed in the right way. I just have a lot to do for details and textures and things of the sort on this. I'm doing this weird little, I don't even know what this is. This is a caterpillar. I know that is selling or giving as a gift a baby caterpillar in a acorn. And so I gotta eventually make this a little baby version. But if people have questions, just throw them in the comments. I'm happy to answer and chat. Let me get 2 little eyeballs in here. And then bear with me. Again, a big thank you to Felicita. No, well, I want to say Felicita Sala. That's always how I've always said it, and so maybe that's just all the way. It's always going to be that. But for joining us today, I just can't get the pronunciation right in my head. My head is broken. I'm looking for a specific marker that I thought I had out here, and I don't see it. Hold on a second. Let me see. That's a Sharpie. I don't want a Sharpie. Where did it go? I used to have a black Posca marker, a thin black Posca marker that was here. And I'm just looking for, maybe I have a new one I can use in its stead. Is that one? No. Oh, there they are. Let's see. Is it new? It's new. I got to get it to work. Tanebois illustration. That's the best I'm gonna. Oh, Matthew Brooks. Felicita. Yeah. Thank you, Matthew. I have it written down here, but I tried to do it phonetically, but I probably just did a bad job of that too. Tanebois, something like that. Illustration says, awesome collage. What kind of paper did you use for your collage papers? I just use trace. And so it's relatively simple tracing paper. It's translucent enough that even if I put it down on top of something, that you can see little hints of the color poking through, as in here. It depends on how opaque the paint is sitting on top. But sometimes you can see that edge. You can see sort of collections of things. But it's just a paper that's cheap. It's thin. It goes down decent for what I want, and I don't have to fight it all that much. So it's been my sort of go-to for some time. So that's hopefully the answer that you needed. Let's see. I want to get. Ooh, that's way too dark. I'm trying to get a color that works here, or some stripes on the caterpillar here. Just some plain stripes, just pattern. I'm trying to get this so it has some weird like textures and colors and things of the sort. I'm not real happy with the kid yet. I need to keep working on that. And I need to get this little baby caterpillar in here, sort of drawn out the way that I want, which is going to take a little bit, so bear with it. But what kind of questions do we have? How can I help? Teacher Marin, thank you. What is the inspiration behind this? There's no real inspiration. Originally, I had this idea that I wanted to do an illustration that had a caterpillar, and there's a bug called a bagworm moth. And it's essentially, it's a moth. If you look it up, it's pretty cool. It's a little like moth sort of bug that, you know, bump, 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 bump. But they build little sticks on themselves. These little like stick towers that sort of go up, and they wander around with these little houses. And sometimes there are these like huge towers that sit on top of them. And so I was kind of interested in just doing a bug with that kind of large structure on it, and in doing so, it ended up becoming a hat because I love hats on things. But it sort of started out as that, and I also kind of wanted to do a close-up face of a character. There's an artist named Maria Deck, D-E-K, that I love, and they did this a series of illustrations for a book that involved like a really close-up face, and I like the way that that face came out, and so I'm sort of not necessarily trying to mimic that, but I like the idea of the close-up shot aspect of it, and so I'm trying to get my version of that close-up shot. My problem right now is I think there's just too much texture in the face, so I'm kind of like, I'm going to layer and diminish it down a touch in here. So I don't mind that there's color and things of the sort. I think it just needs to be a little bit more, less chaotic. Let's put it that way. Caddisfly larvae do the same thing. It's so cool. Yes. I think when I looked up bugs that build things on them, I think the caddisfly also came up. And just, it's such a weird concept of them sort of building this giant structure on top of themselves. So that's part of it. I also need to get in all the different like drawings to get the hand to show up. So these hands are a little funky right now. So let's see if I can get these, like, I want to get knuckles in there, and I want to get some sense of structure here. This is a big knuckle there for that thumb. This one is the thumb here, the knuckle. These are the individual digits on these fingers. Then I gotta come in and color stuff, and do all the fun stuff that goes on top of all of this. Let me see. I want to get some cheeks in here, but they need to be done with this because that color is not sitting on top the right way. So I need to. There's my dog hacking up something upstairs. Tomorrow, I don't know if it's been announced yet. I think it was supposed to be announced this week. But there's a project that I'm working on that I have to go film. There's a call sheet even. I've never been part of something that had a call sheet before. And it's just got my name on it because I'm the star. But a call sheet that for a video production thing that I'm part of, where I will be doing some demo work. Hold on. I'm gonna check in the background and see if it's been listed at all anywhere online. Hopefully this doesn't see this, but let me see. I'm gonna hop on the internet. Let me see, because if this is announced, then I can actually talk about it. Let's see. I'm trying to see if it loads up. So I think they announced those last week, and it's a matter of I may not know. Wow, the internet is acting slow on this guy. Give me a second. Click here for this thing. Can you see my iPad on that screen? That's what I'm wondering. No? Okay, good. You can't see this in case it is secret. Does it say? Official stuff, blah, blah, blah. Reasons behind it. Sorry, this is taking a second for me. No, I don't want sponsors. Things to know. There's got to be something here that I'm trying to click on it to see if I can figure out. Learn more. Oh, it is listed. Okay, good. I can talk about it. There you go. Hey, I can mention it. So I was reached out to. This is a little behind the scenes. I'm getting back on Instagram so I can see who's on there and make sure I'm talking to people. There we go. So I was reached out to by someone at Crayola, as in the Crayola, about doing something for what they call Crayola Creativity Week, which is a thing for art teachers, music teachers, all sorts of folks that are teaching in elementary schools to get kids inspired and whatnot. And they asked if I would like to be part of a series they do for that, wherein they pair a illustrator of a children's book, i.e. in this case, that would be me. Each day, there's a different one, so I'm on the first day, with a known personality. And so they've had people that are like movie stars and all sorts of stuff on in the past. And they found a book of mine called The Note Who Faced the Music, which is a book about a half note who struggles because they feel like they're lesser than. Came out quite a few years back, I think maybe like 3 or 4 years back, maybe 3 years back, somewhere in that range. But Instagram crashed a second time. I don't know what's going on with it. In fact, why is it not coming up as being live right now? Something's going on with my Instagram here. Am I live up there, Lauren? The feed that I have, I can't get. Oh, there it finally went. Yeah, for whatever reason. So earlier tonight, I had on Felicita Sala, and if you go back and watch parts 1 and part 2, you will hear a lovely conversation that we had all about art making and life and all sorts of things. And now we're on to what part are we on? Part 3, because the other parts crashed on me. And so, anyways, for those that were here earlier, I'm sorry for all the problems with the internet. I don't know what's going on with it, but I was telling people before it crashed on me about this project that I'm working on tomorrow, which is Crayola
the crayon company, the colored pencil company, the kids art supply company reached out to me about doing a video for them that can be part of their creativity week. And so what I'm going to do is tomorrow I have to drive down to Boston area to a video production facility, and they're going to, it's the first time I'm going to use a teleprompter. It's the first time, yeah, Matthew Berg, thanks for coming back to part 3. I know, it's frustrating. I don't know. I'm going to talk to Mr. Instagram and tell him that I'm very frustrated with the fact that it crashed that many times. So it's this video series that they do that's really to help little kids in elementary school to get used to being creative and different things they can do. And so I have to go down and do a little art demo and a little interview aspect on it. And so I'm not sure exactly what it entails until I'm down there, but it'll be fun. So, and then the other person that's involved in mine is the person who's going to be reading the book. So they're reading The Note Who Faced the Music, which is a book by Lindsay Bonilla, is a better way to say it, who wrote this book about a very cute little half note that struggles with their value, let's put it that way, because they are not a whole note. And Kate Micucci, the comedian and half of the duo of Garfunkel and Oates, is going to be filmed at a different time. I'm not going to meet Kate, but and she will read the book and then do a little art demo, because Kate likes to do art as well. And then I will do some art, and it will come out in January-ish, I think. I was just on the site. I should have paid attention to it's somewhere in the beginning of the new year. And so there's other artists that are involved that are participating that is fun, but they sent me a giant box of Crayola products to be able to use and test out and play with. And so I had to make some little sample art and stuff for it, which I've already done. I got to fix up one thing for tomorrow that I will do after dinner. And then I go down there and I got to look all pretty on camera and be just an absolute superstar, right? Right. So it'll be fun. Thank you, Matthew. When they reached out, first of all, it's like Crayola, yes, I'm in. When Kate Micucci's involved, who my wife and I are fans of, then it's like even more so like, yes, I want to be involved. And it makes it an easy answer when they came a knocking. Let's put it that way. So they didn't really knock, they DM'd, but or no, they sent an email. Sorry, they sent an email. So that's that. We'll figure out how it goes. I'm gonna keep plugging away here. I have another, 20, when did I start? 3? So technically till 7. We'll go until it's done. My guess is it's going to be done maybe a little bit before 7. We'll see. We'll see what we can do. This is, that's not far enough down. Let me make this pupil a little bigger so it can be further down in the eye. I want it so it's looking at what's in that little acorn there. Okay, now let's go put some details in. So let's put in little, there it goes, it is working. Little legs there, let's put some shoes on this caterpillar. I don't know what's going on with this thing, but Teacher Marin, thank you. When I talked to the people at Crayola online, my first question was, do you actually work at the same location where they filmed the Sesame Street crayon footage? And if you don't know what I'm talking about, just go type in YouTube Sesame Street crayon or Crayola factory. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing, and everybody should know what it is because it's so good. Let's see, I'm gonna start putting in other fun details in here. I may put a little briefcase in his hand too, like down here, so he's an acorn salesman who sells acorns with little acorn weevils in them. That's the best I can figure out so far. So for those that are watching, again, you can ask questions in the comments, and I will answer. If you have questions about life, if you have questions about anything and everything, I am here to answer. I need to speak up, apparently. I'm not talking loud enough. You couldn't hear my son yell, which I'm not sure why he's yelling on my feed like that. I will. Don't worry. Let's see. Let's get that light come up a little higher. Okay. So, what kind of question can I answer for people? What kind of questions can I answer for people? If I do a suitcase, I think it might need to be dark. I'm trying to figure out what color I would want it to be. I must have more of that here. Oh, what's this? Here, let me cut a little section. I did this. Let's see. Okay. Weeks creative. What going on here? It's part of a story or just a one and done? It's just a one and done. It's just me goofing around. I have been doing a series of illustrations for mock covers on these Gavin Doodles recently, and this one's just let me just make a fun image and call it a day. And so this is a caterpillar salesman talking to his friend. Caterpillar salesman. Will the story end? I'm just trying to figure out if I do that, and then I can actually make a little like button on the shirt so it has some other circles. Let me do that first. Let me get that color. What color was that? That was it's up here somewhere. I think. Maybe not. Maybe it's over here again. Oh, that was ash blue. Ash blue. Let's put some ash blue down in there again. Just a little bit. Don't need a lot. What I do is take that. It was a pretty straight version of that. I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to make a little spot where I can put some little buttons on the shirt here. And cover up what I already did there. How often do I do this type of exercise? Meaning illustrations like this. I do this show every week. So if you go back and watch part 1 and 2, I had on Felicita Sala, who is amazing illustrator. Did If You Run Out of Words is one of the newer ones. Done a bunch of books, but they were on and we talked shop about illustration and whatnot. They are in Italy, so they have since gone left and are hopefully in bed soon hereafter because it's almost midnight there. And we have this conversation, we chat, we do all this stuff, and then for the rest of the night I poke around and finish the pieces that I'm working on. In this case, the piece that's in front of us here. But every week I have someone on. Next week is Leanne Cho, who did Pickdown Party. And also later next week is Shelley Johannes, who will be on Thursday. Yes, so Leanne is on Tuesday, Shelley's on Thursday. And so it's just me goofing and chatting with people. So if you tune in every Thursday, basically, and in the case of next week, Tuesday as well, I'm on here and I chat and we make artwork. That's that. That's life. That's how things work. I'm trying to figure out if I make these buttons a little smaller, can I get 3 in there? So one more, and it's a question of, do I want to try to go dark or do I want to try to go mid-range? Trying to figure out based on the colors that are in front of me what I can get. Oh, there's that black marker. I almost lost it. So let's see if I do one of these. Yeah. Yep, that might work. Teacher Marion, question about double page spreads. Is it better to do 2 separate surfaces that together make the whole, or is it to use surface equal to the 2 pages? Okay, I'm going to catch you on one thing first. Don't call it a double page spread because a spread implies that it's 2 pages. And so I say that just because if you go up to someone and say a double page spread, people in the industry might go, huh? That being said, I would not do 2 separate pages and try to link them. And the reason being is that making sure that your colors and everything are consistent, that if you're doing 2 separate pages, more than likely your colors are going to be a little bit funky from one to next. They're not going to match up in a perfect manner. And so it's better to probably just get the page solved right away by using the dimension of the spread itself. It means that you need to have a big enough workspace, which is a pain. I like on the desk here, I have a limit to how big I can work. Depends on the project, how big I need to go. The last book that I just handed in, I was going, where I don't even know where they ended. Oh, they're upstairs. I think they were 36 inches wide. So they're big. They almost took up the entirety of the desk. It would go off the edge almost. So I had to have my paint off to the side, or, there were things that just had to be out of the way because of that scale. And then sometimes, depending on, if I just don't need that much detail in a project, I can work on something that's much smaller, or to scale. But generally I work like that 30-inch thing. The reason why it was so big is I was working in collage, so to get the details in that I wanted, I need to work relatively big. And in turn, that finished product, the book itself, is going to be no bigger than, let's see, if this is an 8.5 by 11, if I do the math here, if I split it, it's probably, the whole book is going to come down to about yay big. So, I don't know if this, it's basically an 8.5 by 11 by 8.5 by 11. No, it's an 8.5 by 8.5. There we go. But I was doing something that was 30 inches something wide. So I was doing almost 3 times the size of what it needed to be. But in order for it to scale down and look nice and tight and refined, I had to work bigger just to get there. So that idea of scale really depends on the project and what you got to get done with it. Matthew Briggs, don't lose that marker. Yeah, I have backups. Like this is a backup. I have other backups. I know there's another one around here somewhere. It probably fell on the floor somewhere. My floor is an absolute mess right now because of the amount of items that have fallen off my desk onto said floor. Those are my little buttons on the shirt. So I'm trying to figure out if I want to get this look more like a kid in the image. Now it looks more like an adult. I'm wondering, is it worth trying to make it more kid-like? And some of it was just the scale of that eye was that much bigger and lower. I want to see what happens if I do this. Does this change it at all? Well, that's huge. That doesn't make any sense. Let's not make it so big. Like if I bring it down like that, no, that doesn't help. What is it that makes that other one look like a kid? I'm trying to figure out what it is. I don't know. I can't figure out what it is, but something about this reads older. It's fine. It doesn't make that much of a difference. But oh, and there was an ear in here, so I need to draw that ear in. I can do that with pencil. So let's put that ear in like this. There we go. Okay, Matthew Briggs. Oh, are there any other terms for illustration dimensions in regards to the page size that you know? Spread, vignette, etc. Not in regards to the page size. There are terms that, so I have this list that I use with my students. It's a list of like terminology that is just, like the equivalent of what a ARC is, which is an advanced reader copy, what an F&G is, a fold and gather, what a spread is, what a packager is, what a, so it goes through, it's like terminology. You can find those out on the web in various locations, but the idea is there are terms for for like the front matter in a book. Most of the time people just use the word front matter, but there is terminology for it. And so sometimes you might hear a term that comes out and you're like, what does that mean? The equivalent of, I've worked on projects. Yeah, it might be. Lauren, she just mentioned the size. I think it's some of it is like the chin, like it came down and it wasn't as long. I'm not really worried about it. It still works fine, but it's weird. Anyway, what was I talking about? The equivalent of, I worked on projects and not every illustrator is going to know this. They're going to probably have heard the term but not know exactly what it means. But I worked on projects where the dimensions of the project came to me in picas and points. And so knowing what a pica is can make a difference. So for anybody that doesn't know, in typesetting and in design, some places use picas and points. So if we think about a 12-point font, right, there's a certain size to it, a certain, like, here's your top, here's your bottom, right, and it fits within that space. There are 6 picas to an inch. So 6 picas equals 1 inch. There are 12 points to 1 pica, right? That's your measurements. So sometimes you might get like a document that says it's 43p, let's say 8, and that means 43 picas, which is huge. That's 40, so it's 6. So divide that by 6. Let's do a better number, 48. So that's easier to, wait, is that right? 48 is divisible by 6, 36, 42, 48. Yeah. So that would be, what is that? That's 8 inches. And then with 0.8 means that it is, I'd have to do the math here. It'd be 8 points, but that's the same as, I don't remember how much that would be inches. It would be 8 inches, I think, like 8 inches point, like 0.125 or something like that. Somewhere in that range. I'd have to do the math again. But it's a measurement that is used, and so sometimes you'll get stuff like that where people say, oh, well, how many picos it is. That kind of terminology, you just pick up over time. You can study it, you can learn it, etc. But sometimes it's just a matter of you sit down and have someone say, hey, do you know what a pica is? And so there's terminology out there related to publishing that's in the same way as far as like shorthand for certain content that is in book form or is in sort of text-based things, etc., that you got to watch out for. So for the most part, it's relatively simple and not too far from what I'm sort of hinting at here. These are a good question, though. Someone else said the eyes for their probably make them appear younger. I do think that, yeah, it's a problem if it's stuck down enough that I don't think I can easily peel it up, and I've painted it down. I may digitally move it around just to see if I can get him to look a little bit younger. But again, I'm not overly concerned that he isn't young. I mean, the real selling of it is not this character, it's this. And so, like I said, I'm not going to fret over it. But maybe I'll get, because we talked about double chins, maybe I'll give him a little double chin here, just to add a little goofiness to him. So, that does make a character look sort of dumber. What other questions do we have? How can I help? Oops, that came up. Let me fix that. Oh, I need to adjust the acorn, and I need to adjust or put the suitcase in here too. And I might, if I have any more of that, what color is that? That is yellow ochre. Let's get a yellow ochre in here. Get it back out. Put a little on my palette. Okay, let's see. Come in here and put my hexagonal. No, it isn't a hexagonal. This is just a cross pattern that's on this. And then I'm going to use that color. I'm going to get some touches in here. I'm also going to make with the pure black. I'm going to come in here. I got to make sure I don't have any water on my brush when I do this. But I'm going to come in here and I'm going to make this an empty cavity that he's sitting inside. There was a time where my wife and I had some acorns that were sitting on our dining room table, and at some point, I don't remember if I was teaching or something happened where my wife informed me that she found a little maggot crawling across the table, and what it ended up being was that it was an acorn weevil. that a lot of acorns have them in them. And essentially it's a little bug that's inside and crawls its way out, and it makes a little hole at some point. And we didn't realize that we had brought in acorns that had weevils in them. And so little maggoty gross guys came popping out for whatever reason. And we're crawling across the table. And it's gross. Trying to start a kidlit postcard. I really should start making next month right now. Yes. No, you need, my wife reminds me, put it in your calendar. Make a Google calendar. Well, I'm assuming you're using Google, I don't know. But make a reminder that pops up at a certain point in the month every time. My reminder is my wife. They were fat too, Lauren. Ew. Are you saying fat things are gross? Lauren. So rude. No, I remember seeing them. They were nasty. I think maggots in general are, or larvae or pupa in general are probably not the most wonderful of things. Let's put it that way. I don't think there's anybody out there that's going like, you know what, my favorite thing in the world is larva. Maybe if you study larvae at a laboratory or something like that, and you're like, they're my friends, because you don't have any friends anymore. Maybe that's about as close as you get. But they're gross. When they're squidgy larvae, then yes, things are gross. Yeah, fine. Let me give this guy a little similar hair. It's like they're friends. Let me give him another, at least one more, not two more little patches of hair. There we go. Got a little hairdo there. Hairdo well. Ne'er-do well. Got it. Figured it out. Hope you're all proud of me for that one. This is a little traveling salesman suitcase, briefcase, whatever you want to call it. And then I need to do tiny little white lines for those buttons. Let's get in here. Let's dry this one out. This guy's all about publishing gross bugs. I know a caterpillar's already a larva, Lauren. We're getting close here. We are getting close. I need to put in some shadows and stuff. I need to get this guy in there first, but I gotta wait for this to dry. So if I try to stick it down right now, it's gonna smear. But I also don't want to hair dryer it because it'll fly away. I mean, I guess I can if I hold it ever so tight. Oh no, I just realized I gotta really clean my hands tonight, make sure I don't have paint scraps all over them. I don't want that to be on camera. Okay, let's get this down there and then I'll put a little handle on it. And then I'll do the shadows and stuff. Move that ever so slightly down. There we go. Get out of there. Go. JSSHNG, thank you. I don't know if that's like Jess or if that's something else, but thank you. I appreciate it. There's some shadows being cast by these things. Okay, let me get that purple. Technically, it should probably curve a little as it goes over the edge, but it will need to be perfect. Sounds like it might be dinner time upstairs. Let's try to get these solved there. Okay, now let's get that darkened up just a touch underneath there, where that hand connects. There we go. Let's see. Matthew Berg says, I saw the tiniest woolly bear caterpillar on the walk yesterday. It was no longer than a dime's diameter. Oh, woolly bears. Okay, let me, now that's there, I can get that a little darker underneath there. Let's get the nose a little more pronounced. Where's my eraser? There's my eraser. Okay. Trying to see what else I need in this. There isn't much else I need. But I'm trying to think if there's any other little details that would make it shine. Jamarin, thank you. Thank you for tuning in every week. Get to hear the same stories over and over again. Get to hear the ramblings of a madman on a regular basis. Okay, that might be it. It's a weird one, but it might be it. So let me do this. Let me put some of this stuff away. Get stuff out of here so we can look at it on a nice clean sheet of paper. Boom, boom, boom. Collect up scraps. Scraps that I will use again. Da-da-da-da-da-da. That one there. I got 2 good glue sticks there. Get these paints out of the way. Get my palette out of the way. Get my brushes out of the way. Get my markers away. That away, that away, that away. And then, actually I don't repeat too much. Good. I'm glad. I know that if you go back and watch from the beginning, I probably do. But I'm glad that it's not excessive. So, or at least I don't think it's excessive. You might say it is. But, okay, so here's the piece I made. It's a weird piece. Here's the sketch that I did. You can see how much younger he looks. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, but he looks dumber there, so I'm fine with it. Looks like a real goof. But here's my little caterpillar and a little weevil. And that, oh, I forgot the handle. I can't just do a briefcase without a handle. That's crazy talk. So let's, where's that little brush? I need that little guy. Okay. That is crazy talk. I can't do that. It's gotta have a little handle. Let me get the extra stuff out of here, so I'm gonna do this little thing like that. And come back with just black. Put it black. That's not dark enough. I didn't get the black. I got wrong color. It's out of the light, so I can't really see what I'm grabbing 100%. There we go. That should be good. There's the black. I'll put little buckles there. And that is the piece for the night. Yes, Lauren, I will take a photo with some of the materials. I'll put those colors out that I used. Some of these. I didn't use pale lavender. I did use this, and I did use pale lilac, and I used pink. No, I guess I did use opera. Yeah, so those are some of the colors I used. I used some markers like this. This is how you make it look pretty in the end. Put some of the colors that I used out here, like this and this, and just sort of sprinkle them around. Some of these, like so. And then I'll take a picture of it like this. But that's the piece for the night. I hope everybody had a lovely time. Again, go back and watch part 1 with Felicita Sala, who was fabulous and stayed up extra late to talk with us and to answer questions. And I will be back next week, actually on Tuesday, a Secret Tuesday show. Secret Tuesday show with Leanne Cho. And otherwise, you all go have a lovely weekend, and I will see you on the flip side. Goodbye, everybody.